Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
All right, Mike's going hot.
Hey now, everybody. Hey now. Should I do my Dale Jackson impression? Hey now. Hey now. What's up? Welcome to News and Views. Andrew McLean filling in for Dale Jackson for what I wish was the last time, but I've got to, I think I got to do the show again on Thursday after New Year's. Happy New Year's Eve, everybody. A special show this time around because we are not just live on Talk 99.5 and talking to you guys in Huntsville and Montgomery, but we're also on YouTube live from our podcast studios. If you have not found us there, look up Over the Line, Andrew McLean, and you will find us. I got my buddy Tony Gump with me. I've got to have extra help to be able to do this, so thank you, Tony Gump.
Oh, you're very welcome. Hello, everyone.
And then Steve West on the other side, who's got the ultimate control if things get sideways. Steve, just cut us loose, okay?
We'll do it, but so far so good. I hate to, by the way, break it to you. Not only do you have Thursday, you got Friday, too.
Oh, really? Oh, my God. Friday. Are you serious, or are you just messing with me?
No, I'm sitting here looking at the schedule, and it says Thursday and Friday.
Oh, my God. When does this dude come back to work?
I guess Monday the 6th.
Jeez, man. Does he even work here anymore? Come on, Cole.
Welcome to No Dale December.
He wasn't lying. But it's January. Friday is January, what, 3rd? There's no work January for Dale as well. So anyway, so whatever. I'll just we'll just do what we got to do. But we're very excited to do something again that we normally don't get to do and give you guys a visual aspect of the show. So you'll be able to watch not just this episode of News and Views, but we'll be doing our show, The Line, for 3 hours after that right here. And then tonight we're going to be broadcasting live for New Year's Eve. We are far too old to go out and party and do all this stuff, so we're going to keep it right here down home and hang out with y'all people that don't like to go out either. So a lot to talk about, and I've said this over and over. When it comes to this time of year between Christmas and New Year's, the news is kind of dead, but it's not. It hasn't been dead. Now, obviously, that is because we had an election, probably the biggest election of our lifetime. Donald Trump is in. You got a new guy putting in new people. You got a new Congress and everything else. But just a lot of moving parts, which people in radio that didn't take a 2-week vacation is very grateful for, especially the people that have been filling in. And thank you to Brady and April Marie for filling in for me the past few days. I went out of town to Chattanooga. And can I just say this? Tony, I haven't told you this story. Steve, obviously, I haven't told you either. So y'all know I've got a new vehicle, somewhat of a new vehicle. It's a Hyundai Sonata. Very nice, very fancy, right?
Yeah.
And when you have a new vehicle, even if it's just new to you, you want to take care of it. You want to keep it clean and all this kind of stuff. But I have a wife that is a mover and a shaker, okay? And what I mean by that is she is in the business of getting stuff done. Like, she just never stops. Well, because 'tis the season, we had a lot of trash. You know what I'm saying? We had a lot of boxes and wrapping paper and food you had to throw away because we hosted Christmas on Christmas Day and all this other stuff. So we had an abundance of trash, and trash people don't care about that because they're only going to come once a week no matter what. Sometimes they even skip your house and will come every 2 weeks. But we had a lot of trash, and normally the routine for trash would be to take what we can't fit in the garbage can and just run it to the dump. We've got a dump that's, 10 or 15 minutes from us. And she thought to herself, we've got these big bags of wrapping paper and boxes and everything else. I'll just throw them in the Santa Fe and I'll run them to the dump. And normally that's not that big of a deal, right? But in the lead up to hosting Christmas, I had to do all of these different things. We had a whole list. Her and I had this list of things we need to clean. We need to do this. We need to do that. On that list was cleaning the litter box. And I was tasked with that. Now, normally cleaning the litter box, you just, most of the time you're just scooping the duty out of there and throwing it in a Walmart bag, tying it up and throwing it away. But this one, I needed to dump it all. I needed to go wash it out and just start fresh for our precious children, our precious kitties, Mama Kitty and George Floyd. So I take the litter boxes and I take them to our trash can and I just dump it. I just dump it all in there. Doo-doo, litter, all of it. Now I take it over and I hose it out and, everybody's happy. Cats. By the way, cats, when you put new litter in a litter box, they go straight to it. They don't even have to take it. They don't even have to use the bathroom. They'll just go in there and start, meandering around. Yeah. So I dump it all in there, and Trish didn't know that. So she took some of that garbage that ultimately was going to go to the dump, and she put it in the trash can with that open-air cat litter. And it marinated for a few days. She didn't realize that. I found that on the backside. She expected me to take the litter and put it in a trash bag and tie it up and then throw it away, but I didn't do that. So that trash marinated with cat duty for days on end, and she didn't know, so she grabbed the bags that she planned on taking to the dump. She threw them in the back of the Santa Fe, and by the time she got it to the dump, she realized, hey, your car smells like cat piss. And when I found that out, she says, listen, it's going to air out. It's going to be fine. Now, we've got a trip we're taking to Chattanooga in a matter of just like a day. And we get in the next day, and guess what? It still smells like cat piss and duty. And so we rode all the way to Chattanooga with the windows down. By the time we got there, it was fine because we met some friends up there, and they were worried about that too because I told them the story, but it turned out to be fine. It actually did air out. She was right. But the moral of the story is, if you're going to clean the litter box, dump it in a garbage bag and tie it up. I've learned my lesson, and I don't want you to find yourself in that same situation, so clean it up. Another big thing today, Tony Gump, is, in fact, Alabama. Wouldn't you know? They're going to play. They're going to kick off right when my show starts.
Yeah, how ironic is that?
Thanks, Alabama. Thanks, DeBoer. I appreciate that. They're playing Michigan, 11 o'clock. So for those of you that are Alabama fans, I know I'm not going to be able to compete with that. But the bright side, since we're live on YouTube, you can put your phone over here or your tablet over here, and then you can have the Alabama game playing on the TV. And we'll keep you guys updated throughout the game as to what the score is if you can't watch it. So I'm not going to pick a side. I don't necessarily like Michigan, and Alabama being an arch rival of mine, I can't really cheer for them, but we'll just see how it goes. I'm just disenchanted with football altogether. I could have invited Damian Mitchell to come on this radio show today and talk about this game, but I don't want to talk about football.
Yeah, ironically enough, my team plays right after Alabama at 2 o'clock. I'm an old Illinois fan from back in the day.
That's right. Don't they play South Carolina?
Yeah, South Carolina. They're ranked 20th this year. It's amazing if they ever make the top 25 by this time.
I think that'll be actually a good game, South Carolina and Illinois. Because South Carolina, they started off extremely rocky, and they got a lot better towards the end of the season. And Illinois, I mean, they made it to, 6-0 at one point?
Yeah, and then they played Penn State, but I'd have my money on South Carolina if I were a betting man.
We'll see.
And they're ranked 15th.
That'll be a good game. Part of why I'm disenchanted by all of this is, one, because we got waxed in the first playoff game, but two, I'm watching, now that playoff game's over, I'm watching all these players from Tennessee hit the transfer portal, and that's not a thing that only Tennessee's dealing with. Everybody's dealing with that. And I'm like, seems like it's ruining football. I mean, back 5 years ago, to have one or two players, say starters, one or two starters leave your team, that was pretty devastating. And now multiply that times 10. And you left scratching your head going like, are we going to be able to replace these guys? Second string. You can't get your second string to stick around if they're good because they want to start and they can go anywhere they want to. And it's just, Steve, who all has Alabama lost so far? How many people did they have going to the portal? Do you remember?
Last I heard it was about, I want to say 16.
16, yeah. And what about Jalen Milroe? What's his status?
They're thinking he's probably going to declare for the draft.
But he's playing in this game today.
That's what I hear.
Okay. Fair enough. Anyway, we'll keep up with it. We got that and a lot of other stuff to get to. We'll break that down when we get back on the other side. It is News and Views, no Dell Jackson, Andrew McClain for apparently 3 more times after this. We'll be back right after this.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io.
Here we are, news and views, baby. Back at it, Andrew McClain and Tony Gump and Steve West. That's right, Steve. Do we have AJ at 12 o'clock? Is that right? Is everything?
Yeah,
normal?
AJ will be on at 12.
So, well, I was going to say at least everything's normal on the producer side, but I don't think that's the case either. Now that you guys are working
Ask you what qualified for normal.
8 hours at a time. But anyway, thank you all for hanging out with us, and I really do. I know I take shots at Dale and everything else, but I hope he's having a good vacation. I don't ever take vacation, and I took Friday and Monday off, and I had a great time. I think those of us that do this work that are in radio underestimate how taxing it is just mentally to do this day in and day out. And, of course, we're not out there slinging a hammer and working on a construction site. We're not doing something as hard as you guys are. But mentally, it wears you out, and you don't even realize it until you take some time off. So I'm grateful for everybody that stepped up for me, and now I'm stepping up for everybody else. We're live on YouTube right now. If you are just joining us, well, for some of y'all, if you're listening on Talk 99.5, we're live for you. You can just look up Over the Line Andrew McClain on YouTube, find us, and watch a live radio show, which you don't normally get to do here on 99.5. It's a good time. It's a good time, baby. Let me, I want to bring this up, and this really doesn't have a whole lot to do with politics, but I found it fascinating. Everybody knows Elton John. Everybody knows, what was Elton John's nickname? King something?
I don't know.
What do they call Elton John back in the day?
I know it's not Rocket Man.
It's not Rocket Man. That's Kim Jong-un. What was it? What do they call Elton John? Didn't he have a nickname? Or was it just Sir Elton John because he got knighted or whatever?
Yeah, he got knighted, yeah.
I mean, maybe it's Sir Elton John. Anyway, I see this piece on, and the headline says, music legend, they're talking about Elton John, rips apart America and Canada for making the greatest mistakes of all time. And when I see that, my first thought is, okay, it's a bash Trump deal or whatever. But that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about legalizing weed. He's upset that America and Canada has legalized weed. And I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, you wrote songs about getting high. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
I understand you're a little bit older, a little long in the tooth and everything else, but why? I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't use marijuana or anything, but if somebody else wants to do it, I mean, might as well. It's probably safer than alcohol anyway. Longtime British music icon Elton John spoke to Time magazine about his Icon of the Year award, which, by the way, is different than Person of the Year, like Donald Trump had won. Elton John, 77 years old, spoke glowingly about his past and the numerous concerts he's performed. Most of the article reads wistful, but there was a point that John turned terse, and it had to do with marijuana use. After chronicling his own sordid past when it came to drug use, he told Time that he thinks North America has made a catastrophic mistake with its laissez-faire attitude towards marijuana. He said, I maintain that it's addictive. It leads to other drugs. And I'm like, wow, you don't usually hear famous rock stars or music icons saying marijuana is a gateway drug, especially from that time era.
Oh, that time era, most of them were using the stuff to come up with their good songs.
Right. At the end of the day, I think it's a case-by-case basis because we all know people that are straight potheads and that's all they use. But for other people, because everybody's different, some people have more addictive personalities. They do smoke weed, and then they feel like they need to move it up to the next level. Yeah. So I get it, but I don't know that it's a mistake for legalizing weed. He says, beyond the gateway drug hypothesis, there's also been plenty of reports suggested that marijuana isn't as harmless as its advocates would have you think, blah, 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 blah. Elton John noted that, quote, when you're stoned, and I've been stoned, you don't think normally. I mean, I guess that's fair, but I've also seen people who think more normally, like it helps them work better.
Yeah,
especially
I'll
in the day and age of Delta 8 and everything else that's illegal across the board. I mean, this stuff helps people.
Yeah, now back in the day, it wasn't as strong as it is like now today. They've got so much technology and they've grown different strains and they figured out how to make it really potent. But back in the day, it was probably a fifth of the strength that it is now.
I would dare to say it's a reverse gateway drug because it's so strong that when people smoke it, they're like, I don't want nothing to do with that. I don't even want to get high anymore. Yeah. It's just crazy. Because, for some of us, like, if you do it, you get paranoid and, your mind starts racing. And then other people, it's like it puts them in the zone and they can get stuff done. And I think that goes from person to person, but I also think age has a factor in it. Yeah. And when you're younger, maybe it can put you in the zone and you can get stuff done for some people. But as you get older and you get more responsibilities, that for some, it makes you paranoid, and all you can think about is your responsibilities, and you just curl up in a corner and cry.
Yeah, everybody is different, and you're right. There's some people that just should not do it at all. It's like their body wasn't ready for it or something.
Yeah. So, whatever. If Elton John thinks that, that's fine. I mean, it's his own little PSA. It's his opinion. It's not like he's going to have anything to do with it. When it comes to other stars, they're also not having. They're not enjoying their time in America, and Will Ferrell is one of them. I caught Will Ferrell at a Kings game? It's a hockey game, right?
Yeah.
And at this game, I guess this was right before Christmas, he's dressed as Buddy the Elf, and he looks disheveled. He's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth and a beer in his hand. For those of you on YouTube, look at this right here. Just watch Will Ferrell.
As this game is tied, Will Ferrell. I'm not sure if he's enjoying the game or not, but
look how miserable this guy looks.
The elf thing going. Is that thing lit?
And you know why he looks so miserable. It's because Donald Trump won the election, and he's probably been not coping very well. Because think about what Will Ferrell did in the lead up to the election. He did that loud white dudes for Harris cameo on the streets, and then he did that commercial where he was telling, he was like, Gary, you got to get out and vote for Kamala Harris. Here's that ad right here. Listen to this.
This election is going to be one of the closest in history. Your vote will make the difference. That means you, Gary. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm just one person. No. Shut the up, Gary. Last time, only a few thousand votes kept Trump out of office. And this time, we will hold you personally responsible, Gary. Don't forget to vote, Gary.
You know what we call that? We actually call that cucking for Kamala. That's the actual art form of cucking for Kamala. And so you can imagine, if that's you, if that was your thing, and you really hung your career on, isolating half the country, you're probably not in the best mood. You're probably not having a good time. So, good luck to Will Ferrell, man. I just, whatever, dude. And there's more people out there as well that are not having a good time. I'll give you some of those examples on the other side. You are listening to News and Views. Andrew McLean filling in on Talk 99.5 in Huntsville, in Montgomery, and live on YouTube. Look up Over the Line, Andrew McLean, and you can find us. We'll be back right after this. Hang tight.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
Here we go. News and views, baby. The most. What's it saying? How's it go?
The fastest hour of radio.
Fastest hour in radio in the history of radio. Alabama's most trusted journalist and voted most likely to sue random Mountain Brook moms. That's right. It's Dale Jackson. Do we have any idea how that's going? I know Dale Jackson hasn't been here, but is there any update on that, Steve? Have you heard anything?
I'm not really sure what the latest is on that. I think we're going to have to wait until he gets back.
Which is going to be never, apparently. But whatever. Good deal. I'm totally not upset about doing Dell's show. Y'all don't get the wrong idea. All right, let me go back to people that aren't having a good time. 2025 is going to be our year. We got Daddy Trump back in office. We got a new Congress. You've got Republicans and the majority and everything else. And people are just not coping well. One of those people I saw over the weekend is the, I guess he was the former head of the Lincoln Project, Rick Wilson. He's a real piece of work. And he is, I tell you what, let me just let you listen to this. This is Rick Wilson over the weekend on MSNBC.
It's an inevitability that the hyper-populist, non-college educated part of Trump's base, which is the plurality at the minimum, a majority if you take certain arguments, we're always going to be preconditioned to believe that the word immigration or the word visa always in their minds means brown people bad. And so they have this belief that the guy with the GED and his fake Oakley sunglasses, his goatee and his pickup truck, the universal Twitter bro that you see in every avatar on Twitter, that guy's thinking to himself, oh, well, I could have been the senior software designer at Google if only it weren't for DEI or immigration. It's absurd, but now you see these people that rely on that as a core part of their business, just like Donald Trump does also, by the way, for service staff at Mar-a-Lago and other resorts. You see this conflict. It's going to eventually, the hyper-populists, they don't really care about the more sophisticated arguments about H-1B or O-1 visas. They care around people bad. That's their whole driving conditioning they've had from Fox for years.
Brown people bad. See, these people, they don't get it. And that's what's amazing about all of this. They don't understand that a big driving factor in why Donald Trump got elected was because of that, because of the way you were demonizing half the country. And you'll see when they talk about, when they use the terminology of, like, speaking of the groups of who voted for Trump and who voted for Kamala, they'll always say the 45% of Trump voters in this country. And it's like, it's more than that, Cuzzy. It's more than that. And it's the fact that the media, it's not just Rick Wilson. It's not just random jabronis that half the people don't even know. It's the people on TV. It's the people in Washington, D.C. who have, instead of taking shots at their political opponents, have taken shots at the voters, have mocked them, have made fun of them. Trump doesn't do that. Trump doesn't talk. He'll take a shot at a protester at a rally. He'll do that, but he won't go after the people that vote for Democrats. He goes after the Democrats themselves. He goes after his political opponents, and they don't get that. They don't get it because they're blinded by rage. They're blinded by hate. Their hatred towards Donald Trump and their hatred for you for supporting him. They hate your guts. And they got a rude awakening finding out that there's a lot more of us than they ever knew. And so it has not been fun for people like Rick Wilson. It's the same thing with, and Tony, I know you don't watch late night talk shows like the Tonight Show and all that, but it's the same thing with these guys. I mean, they spent every one of their episodes, a vast majority of it was political, and it was bashing Trump. It was never defending their own guys. It was always attacking Trump and attacking Trump supporters. And it really ruined that industry.
I tried watching it and listening, but it just didn't work out for me. It was 2 minutes in, I had to turn it off.
And there's a simple solution to that. You do both sides. You bash the right, you bash the left. That would actually be good comedy. That would be funny. Saturday Night Live, I feel like, kind of gets it, but not really. They've been taking some shots at Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or whatever, but, it's definitely not a level playing field. It's not evened out. They do the vast majority of bashing on Donald Trump and the people around Donald Trump. I saw a survey, a study, late night losers spent the last year bashing Trump but didn't move the needle at all. As a matter of fact, their ratings went down.
Nice.
Greg Gutfeld came on the scene, and it was kind of the first time Fox News had done a late night show like that was kind of comedy driven. And it took no time for that show to blow people out of the water. Even though it was right leaning, you had Greg Gutfeld, who's really a libertarian guy. He's not a Republican, who came. I mean, Greg Gutfeld's the type of guy that wants to legalize all drugs across the board. Like, he's a straight libertarian.
Oh, yeah.
But he likes Donald Trump. He likes what Donald Trump stands for. And people connect with that. people connect with the people on TV or radio or whatever that don't want to put labels on themselves, that want to call balls and strikes as they come, call each issue as they see it. They don't want to have to align with a particular party or a particular group of people that say, here's your parameters, this is what you agree with, this is what you disagree with. No, they want to do that themselves. Most people in this country would prefer to do it. In this study, it says 98% of the jokes made by Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, and Saturday Night Live in the lead up to Election Day made Trump the butt of the joke. That's according to Media Research Center. As many as 1,428 of the 1,463 political jokes on these shows from September 3rd through October 25th were targeted at Trump. What's the difference? You're the math guy, Tony. 1428 and 1463.
I mean, that's like 98%, yeah.
That's
you mean the
what's the actual number?
I already forget the numbers.
Okay. So it's like 40 jokes. There's like 40 jokes, 30 or 40 jokes they made from September to October that didn't have to do with Trump. The other 100 or 1,428 of them were about Trump.
Yeah, gee, I wonder what side they're on, you know.
That's a 40-to-1 ratio, almost 98% to 2%. That's according to this study. Even when the late-night host mocked then-nominee Joe Biden, they often softened the jokes with comments about Trump. In June, Seth Meyers touched on Biden's age and cognitive decline, but then made sure to note Trump's criminal convictions. Way to go, guys. You literally ruined an entire industry. It's not just that you ruined a show or you ruined a time slot for a mainstream network like NBC or whatever. You ruined the entire industry of talk. Think about the legacy that had been laid out for that industry, for late night talk shows. Johnny Carson?
Yeah, Carson, Leno, even Conan O'Brien wasn't over the top.
Yeah, David Letterman. And some of these guys are leftists now, but, back then they would take shots at both sides. They were funny. They're actually good. And then, maybe, I don't know what happened.
You got to give props to Gutfeld and Fox for taking advantage of the opportunity they saw with, how biased the whole late night show was, the whole thing.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy. I think of, by the way, have you seen Jay Leno lately? Every time he comes out, he's like all bruised up and his face.
Oh, yeah. There's all those rumors that he owed the mob money and everything.
Oh, do you think that's true?
No, I don't think it's true. I think he just fell and he got that fire with the car thing.
It's like a gambling deal?
That's what the rumors were, but it's not true. He said it wasn't. I mean, if it was true, he probably wouldn't tell us anyway.
That's true. He wouldn't tell us. Does he have a gambling problem? Has he been known to have one?
Now, funny enough, my dad's friend has Jay Leno on his contact list with his phone. He's a car dealer, and he says that Jay Leno's like an average, normal guy, and he highly doubts there's any gambling going on.
He's an average, normal guy that occasionally gets beat up by the mafia. Gotcha. Well, this is what's funny about Tony Gump. For people that are hearing him for the first time, because this is really, Tony, This is your first time being broadcasted in Montgomery and Huntsville.
Oh, okay.
Tony knows everybody. I say everybody. Tony knows or has met or has crossed paths with a lot of famous people.
Yeah.
We would have to spend 24 hours breaking down Tony Gump's stories of who he's run into, who he knows, or who he's met.
Yeah, the stories don't end, but my dad's friend, his name is Doug Siebold. He's a big old Buick dealer, back like 40s and 50s Buick. So anytime Jay Leno's looking for like a part to a Buick, he calls Doug and he literally talks to him on the phone. I've seen his phone number in his phone.
Doug, mafia's after me. I got to get this Buick quick fixed. Got to get it fixed quick.
No, if he owed money, he could pay it.
Yeah, I bet he could. He's probably got some money.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, news and views. Andrew McClain, Tony Gump, Steve West hanging out with you. As many of y'all that are listening live are waiting on the Crimson Tide to take the field. For those of you that can't watch and are listening to us on the radio or watching us live on YouTube, we'll keep you updated with those scores and everything else as we go along. Let me hit this break. We'll come back on the other side with more of this No Dale Work December thing.
licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io.
Here we go. News and views, baby. Andrew McLean filling in. I mean, do we get any reaction from Montgomery or Huntsville? How do we find out if they're even enjoying the show, Steve? Do you know?
I guess I could text in.
Yeah, that's true. You can text the show, 205-545-9950, or you can chat live with us on YouTube. We're live right now. Get up in there, and everybody's having a good time. It's like a big party, a big family reunion. On the text line, Tim says, man, I was about to say the same thing about Will Ferrell. He's always been one of my favorite actors until this past election. I have a totally different opinion of him now. That's what sucks, man, is you look up to people, and then, you know, it would be one thing for them to come out and say, hey, I'm just voting this way and just leave it be. But nobody ever does that. Like, the Foo Fighters. Everybody loves the Foo Fighters. But they played a show at the DNC. Like, don't do that. You've got too many fans from all walks of life. Just don't do that. Tell us you're voting for Kamala, and that's it. And then guess what? We'll forget about it in a month. But if you keep talking about it, we're not going to forget about it. If you're doing shows at the DNC, we're not going to forget about it. Chris says Bill Maher is an equal opportunity guy. He insults both sides. He does, but he doesn't really. He's very biased, leaning to the left. And I think it does seem like he's taking more shots at both sides because he sees his party leaving him, because he is an old school Democrat, but he's still not what we would consider in the middle.
He reminds me of the Cenk Uygur guy off of the Young Turks. He kind of, comes around now all of a sudden. And I used to call Bill Maher the broken clock because he was right twice a day.
Yeah, he is. He's right sometimes, but he's still, his problem is he has Trump derangement syndrome, and I don't think that's going to be solved. We need an Operation Warp Speed for Trump derangement syndrome. We did that for COVID. Can I say COVID on YouTube? We did that for that one thing.
Yeah.
Can we do it for TDS?
I don't know, but there needs to be like TDS stations all across the country, kind of like those family health care places.
Yeah, a little
dock in the boxes.
Dock in the box for TDS.
Yeah, just have a TDS just get little, cubicle things and have people come see. You can make a lot of money, I bet.
Let's do it. Dan says, check out Don Lemon in his stupid MAGA brain rant. I did see that. Yeah. And normally I would be able to play that for you guys because I would be able to edit it on the front end. But since we're doing the show this way, live on video, I can't. I don't think I can edit it out. So we'll have to. If we were just on YouTube and not on the radio as well, we could probably get away with it. We'll play it tonight during our New Year's Eve party.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Which, by the way, if you got no New Year's Eve plans, spend it with us on our YouTube. We're going to be on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Just look up Over the Line Andrew McLean and join us for our big party. We're calling it the New Year's Eve Party 2025. Very excited. We're going to start at what, 9 o'clock?
Yeah, 9 o'clock we'll start, and then probably 12:15 or so.
Yeah, because we're getting old. So once 12 o'clock hits, we'll get our midnight kiss from our significant others, and then we're going to have to go to bed.
Yeah, don't forget the peanut butter whiskey. I'm looking forward to that.
We're going to have peanut butter whiskey, which everybody's excited about. News that dominated the headlines, and I had this conversation with Trish. It almost feels like when certain things happen, it gets wall-to-wall coverage because the media is trying to hide something else. And I don't know that that's the case here because it is kind of standard. When somebody that used to be a president dies, they do get wall-to-wall coverage, especially if it's a slow news day, if it's Christmas holidays or whatever. Jimmy Carter passes away over the weekend. How old was he? Was he 100?
100.
100 years old. Said he only wanted to stay alive. Or this is what they said he said. He only wanted to stay alive long enough to vote for Kamala Harris. And he also said, allegedly, he said he was not going to go to Donald Trump's inauguration, and he is going to keep that promise, apparently. So, good for him.
Pathetic.
Yes, you did a good job calling that with Jimmy. My comments on Jimmy Carter, I mean, he's a good dude. He seems like a good guy, good old boy from Georgia who had a normal upbringing. He served in the Navy and everything else, and so I don't think he's a bad person. But I do think he was a bad president.
I think he's a globalist personally. I think he's part of the big club.
I think once he became president, he probably became a bad person.
Yep.
Because he did a lot of things that still affect this country. You think about the Panama Canal thing Donald Trump's talking about. Jimmy Carter gave that away. You think about the Department of Education that we're going to be dealing with this administration. Jimmy Carter created that. Like, he did a lot of things that did not work it didn't benefit the United States of America, that have harmed us for what is that, 5 decades it's been since the 70s?
Well, Jimmy Carter signed it away, but it didn't take effect, I believe, until 1999 or 2000.
It's just...
Because there was a charter on it, which meant there was a 100-year thing going on.
Right. And Donald Trump spoke out against or about getting the Panama Canal back. And the president of Panama came out and he's like, we own every square inch. You're not getting it back. Donald Trump responded with one tweet. He said, We'll see about that. I'm like, oh, we're getting it back. We're getting it back, baby. We're getting it back. Joe Biden came out and made comments about Jimmy Carter. He gave his thoughts, and he rambled. I don't know how else to say it. He rambled through the whole thing. He whispered. He got loud. He said that Jimmy Carter's death, he was like my dad. Joe Biden said Jimmy Carter was like his dad. Said that Jimmy Carter once told him, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. And I know what you're thinking. I know you're thinking that Joe Biden's told us that his dad said that, but actually, apparently, Jimmy Carter said that as well. And then a reporter asks Joe Biden, what characteristic or what lesson could Donald Trump take from the character of Jimmy Carter? Here's what they said.
Thank you. President Trump to take from President Carter?
Decency. 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 Everybody deserves a shot. Everybody. Can you imagine Jimmy Carter walking by someone who needs something and just keep walking? Can you imagine Jimmy Carter referring to someone by the way they look or the way they talk? I can't. I can't. You know, I think the end of the deal here is that one of the reasons why we're looked to by the rest of the world, for the bulk of our nationhood, we've laid out what our values are. We've said what we believe. It's not just in the declaration we hold these truths to be self-evident, but there's a feeling. The rest of the world looks to us. And he was worth looking to. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I don't even know what Joe Biden was saying there. Did it make any sense to me? Decency. And that smile he's got, it's like the Joker from Batman. He's got this big, what do they call that? The Cheshire cat? What is it called? From Alice in Wonderland?
Oh, yeah.
The big, crazy-looking smile. That's what he looks like. He says, "Hold these truths to be self-evident." What are you even talking about,
Man.
bro? And to think the media went out of their way to cover up for this guy for the entirety of 2024. They tried to stick up for this guy and say, Joe Biden is the best Joe Biden he's ever been. And now they're like, well, he just went bad one day. It got really bad. All right, let me hit this break. Actually, this is not a break. This is the end of News and Views. We're going to come back on the other side with The Line right here on Talk 99.5 and live on YouTube. Y'all stick around for that. We've got a lot more coming your way. Happy New Year's. Back after this.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io.
Hello, everybody. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to a brand new edition of the Line New Year's Eve edition. That's right. Andrew McLean back in the saddle after all that time. Did seem like a lifetime I was gone. It really did. I mean, it was only 2 days, 2 weekdays, but it felt like I was gone a long time. Because at the end of the day, we had, Christmas was last week, so we were off Tuesday and Wednesday, and then I came back Thursday, and that was a Friday and Monday. Now here I am again, and I'm off tomorrow. But most of y'all are off tomorrow, and I'll be back Thursday and Friday with 4 hours for no Dale Workey December and January, apparently. Tony Gump here with me today.
I'm here, yep.
For those of you listening on the radio side, we are live in the podcast studio, the Over the Line podcast studios, where you can actually watch this radio show. That's right. You're able to watch us in real time by going to our YouTube channel. We're only broadcasting on YouTube channel for this episode, but we'll be doing more in the future. Tonight, our big New Year's Eve party, the Over the Line New Year's Eve party, popping off at 9 o'clock. We'll be on YouTube. We'll be on Rumble. We'll be on Facebook. We're going to be on Twitter. We're all over the place, and we want you guys to hang out with us and ring in the new year. Do you remember, Tony, last year when we did our New Year's show, I brought that bottle of Trump wine that I bought up in Mentone, Alabama.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
I bought it from the little hippie shop, and I was surprised that they had it in there, so I was like, I got to buy that. I didn't really have plans for it. I was just like, I'm going to put it on the shelf because I don't really drink wine. But once New Year's came around, and we obviously knew Donald Trump was running for president for probably the last time, we said, we're going to pop this on New Year's Eve and drink it in hopes that that'll be our good luck charm in getting Donald Trump in office. And look what happened. Look what happened. We got our country back.
It's glorious.
The wine was awful, though. It did not taste good whatsoever. But it was, again, I'm not a wine guy, so I don't take my word on it.
Wasn't as good as the peanut butter whiskey.
No, nothing as good as the peanut butter whiskey. Nothing, nothing at all. By the way, in Chattanooga, they have the coolest liquor stores up there. I made like 3 stops, just because it was like a mini Walmart. You know, and here in Alabama, we got to do everything backwards, and we're going to have stuff at ABC stores and everything else. And the price difference, my Lord, the price difference.
Oh, I bet, because Alabama jacks the price up because they get to control everything like they want to.
So dumb. So dumb. I should run for office just to change the alcohol laws. That's what I should do.
Yeah, and that ABC board, they're in charge of the whole tobacco and vaping thing, too.
Like Donald Trump and the Department of Education, it's going to be Andrew McLean dismantling the ABC board. It's going to be a free-for-all. If you want to make your own moonshine, you go right ahead. If you want to open a liquor store and buy from the distributor, you go right ahead.
I think we should do that.
Make it like the Wild Wild West, baby. A lot of stuff to get to. We covered a couple things in the News and Views hour. One of the things we left talking about, well, actually, before I get into that, let me get on the phones real quick because people are patiently waiting. I think we've got Hippie on the line. Hippie, what's up, buddy?
Hey, man.
What's up?
Y'all were talking about the late night guys. Now, as soon as Trump went in office, Colbert just lost his mind. And he was just anti-Trump the whole way. And he probably lost a lot of audience because he just was not, even the Trump jokes, even if you were a liberal, the Trump jokes were not funny.
Right.
And it's just the show is not funny. So you're not going to get the audience.
Well, the mandate came down as Trump got elected. And you'll remember even Jimmy Fallon had Trump on his show and did the whole thing about, hey, would you let me mess up your hair? And he rubs his hands through his hair, and Trump's hair is all crazy, and everybody was having a good time and laughing. And then Jimmy Fallon got hammered because he humanized Donald Trump with that segment. And he was told, hey, you can't do that again. And so they're doing what they're told.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And they're just, they've got the TDS bad.
They do.
Of course, it may be mandated by a network, but it's, you lose a lot of audience.
Mandated by the globalists. What are you doing for New Year's Eve, hippie?
Just hanging out at home.
Just hanging out, doing stuff that hippies do?
Yep. Out here in the woods.
I got you. That sounds like a good time.
May fire off a gun.
There you go. There you go. All right, man. Well, hang out with us on the podcast tonight.
All right. Y'all take it easy.
There you go.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. Let me move over to Richard the Cop. Richard the Cop, what's up, buddy?
Thank God you're back.
Oh, really?
Oh my God! It's been like drinking a glass of dirt.
Oh man! What kind of dirt though?
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Kip Keefer is such a good fill-in.
Yeah, Kip's good, man. I'm very
good.
great.
If you can get him, Kip is always good. But man, it has been like E said on Facebook the other day. He's tired of being in the talk radio desert.
Well, listen, people don't do good with change, and I've got, for me personally, I got to be grateful for who I can get in order for me to go on vacation. But I do want to say something about Kip Keefer. When you remember when we did the commercial for ABC 3340, it was the day before, and I realized I didn't have anybody to fill in for me as I was going to be over there shooting that commercial. Well, I had never talked or texted with Kip Keefer before. I'd ran into him before and said hi and everything, but I never really talked to him. And so I got his number, and I texted him just hours before my show, and I'm like, hey, is there any way you can do my show? And he said, absolutely. And he stepped up to the plate and did my whole show for me, so he's a solid guy.
Back in the day when Kip and Terry had the ride home in the afternoon time.
I remember.
Back before they left and Leland extended all the way to 6. That was one of my go-tos when I was in Oklahoma, talking to them and listening to them, and they were good people. And I'm gonna tell you, I like hearing him fill in. He's a good person, but he's got a lot of responsibility. I think he's a big wig over the race course out there. So
yeah,
he's got a lot of things going on. But it's good to hear you back. And make a suggestion. First of the year, we need to get together a group. Me, you, Boomer. Tracy Stewart, Boomer's wife, all of them. We need to start a GoFundMe for John.
Yeah, well, I know John Bird wouldn't argue that, but you will.
We all need to get together and do something about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Trying to help the man through till he finds something else.
Well, you'll be here. I'm sure you'll be on our podcast with us tonight, so you'll be hearing from him on that front as well. He'll be here with us, so it's going to be a good time.
Y'all have a good New Year's, boys, and I want to say Happy New Year's to all our extended family, Boomer and Tracy Stewart and all the, Tom from Pell City, all those folks out there that are my extended family. Love y'all much. Be safe tonight. I'm leaving work at 8 and staying the hell in the house. Y'all have a good night.
There you go. Richard the Cop, love you a long time. There he is. What's funny is Boomer got all out of sorts last night. He was calling me on Facebook Messenger. When you're on somebody's Facebook, you don't have to have their phone number. You've got access to them by just through that. And I don't use Facebook Messenger a lot. And if I get phone calls on Facebook Messenger, don't come through to me. I've got them silenced. They're just not going to come through. But I noticed Boomer calls, and I think he called a couple times. And apparently, what I found out on the backside is he saw our trial run. Yesterday, we had to do some testing to make sure all of this was going to work. And he saw us do a test video to make sure the live portion was going to work out right. And he couldn't figure out, what happened, why it went away or whatever, and why nobody was talking about us doing this show live. And I'm like, it's okay. Everything's okay. We're going to be all right.
That actually happened to me. Amy was sick yesterday, and he had texted me and called me a few times, and I called him back, and he was all worried. I calmed him down. This was around 9 o'clock at night or something, but he's good.
Boomer, what are you doing calling people at 9 o'clock at night? What's wrong with you?
Well, he called me earlier. I didn't have my phone with me, and I called him back.
I gotcha. Boomer's a wild card, man. I'll tell you what. Can't replace him, though.
Nope.
There's no doubt there's only one Boomer in this
One
this
of a
world.
kind.
One of a kind, baby. One of a kind. I need to talk a little bit more about this Jimmy Carter stuff, but I'll do it when I get back on the other side. 205-545-9950. New Year's Eve edition of The Line. Back after this.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
Here we go. The Line, Talk 99.5, Talk995.com. Man, it's so weird seeing myself on video doing this radio show. I know it's weird for you, Tony.
Oh, yeah, this is extremely weird.
I mean, we do the podcast all the time. I don't know why it's weird.
Trying our best here, that's for sure.
It's not, and it's not that big of a difference. It's just there's a little more. There's time constraints, and we don't have time constraints on podcast because we start when we want and we end it when we want. And here we've got. Although it is nice to have the breaks to be able to kind of kick back and do whatever we want to do, vaping stuff.
Yeah, the breaks are awesome, but the music back and forth between the radio to YouTube, I got to be really careful so when I get knocked off YouTube.
Yeah. We should have that handled. I think we Gucci on that. All right, let me tell y'all real quick about Chuck Davis. That's my personal attorney. Y'all know this, and he's speaking of good people. Chuck's good people, and that's hard to find in that industry. But if Chuck wasn't my personal attorney, I'd just be talking, random stuff and just giving you a phone number. But I know Chuck. I know how good of a job he does, and I know that he's willing to stick up for people that need representation. This is going to be your best bet. If you're going through divorce, if you're going through custody, if you're dealing with personal injury, car wrecks, slip and fall, whatever it may be, wrongful death, and wills, probate, and contracts, paperwork issues. Chuck can handle all that stuff. All you have to do is call him, let him know that we sent you, and he's going to get you hooked up. Here's his number, 205-823-9992. That's 205-823-9992. Online, ChuckDavisLaw.com. No representation is made that the legal services provided are superior to legal services provided by other lawyers. So here's my man Chuck Davis. I gotta get a hold of him.
Side note: he's my attorney too. He's pretty good actually.
Would you look at that, everybody? You got two people in the same studio who's being represented by Chuck Davis.
Yeah, if you need your will done, get it with him. He did mine really fast, and it wasn't that much.
I need to link up with him. He said something about getting together before Christmas, and I kind of dropped the ball.
You should do that.
I'm going to wait till after New Year's, which is obviously tomorrow, and we're going to link up because, again, just a good day. One more thing about Jimmy Carter, and I'm done talking about him, because Jimmy Carter was the worst president of our lifetime until... him and Barack Obama, Barack Obama was worse. Okay, so Jimmy Carter was once the worst president of our lifetime. Then he was the second worst president. And then Joe Biden comes along, and he's the third worst president. Okay, that's not to make him look any better. I'm just saying that that's how far we've fallen from, who we pick as our presidents. But he was bad. He did a lot of bad things. I say bad things that are detrimental to this country. And he really showed his backside on the way out because he was like, "Oh, Donald Trump." Remember when Jimmy Carter used to say Donald Trump and the Russians stole the election? You remember that?
Oh, I remember that.
He's like, come on, dude.
Globalist.
He's a total globalist. But anyway, so... in the case of a death of a former president, flags are to be flown at half-mast, half-staff for 30 days. That's according to flag code, right? Which means that the flags at the Capitol will be flown at half-staff during Donald Trump's inauguration.
Boo.
And the people on the left somehow think this is a win for them, that it is a signal to the rest of the world that we are in peril. It's almost like hanging your flag upside down. It's the sign of distress. They think that they've got some kind of a victory against those of us that have voted for Trump. I hate to break it to you, Cub, but Donald Trump's still going to be your president. It doesn't matter how high the flag's waving. It doesn't matter what flagpole you hang it on. Donald Trump's getting inaugurated, and he's going to be your daddy. He's going to be your presidential daddy. It ain't nothing you can do about it. I was looking through some tweets, and these are just random liberals, by the way. Flag protocol requires all flags to be flown at half-mast for 30 days after the passing of a president. This means flags will be at half-mast for Trump's inauguration. Thank you for your final act of service, President Carter. There's another guy. LOL, flags will be at half-mast during Trump's inauguration. Perfect way for us to mourn the death of American conservatism. Okay, so that guy apparently thinks he's a conservative. How fitting that all government flags will be flown their lowest half-mast during Trump's inauguration. Jimmy Carter's final salute to Donald Trump, and then a middle finger emoji. Jimmy Carter's final act in life will be on January 20th when the flags fly at half-mast during Donald Trump's presidential inauguration. Thank you, President Carter. Can't wait for the pictures. These people are stupid. They're so stupid. Flags will be half-mast during the inauguration. I'm so sad for this great man's passing, but this is going to piss off the orange clown so much. I've convinced myself this was Jimmy's plan the whole time. Yeah. Jimmy Carter finally decided to die, so half-mast. Jimmy Carter didn't know what day of the week it was. I don't know if y'all saw the pictures of Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter didn't know where he was at for the past 2 or 3 months, maybe even longer. Dude was out of it. You know, they had him rolled out there outside and his mouth was... When you're in a state, and I know we've all had grandparents and everything else that have gotten to this stage of life. It's just, it's a fact of life. But when your loved one is rolled out into public, when they're in the state of just laying there still with their mouth gaping open, they're not They don't know where they're at. They don't know what's going on. They're in their final days. And instead of Jimmy Carter's family allowing him, peace in his final days, they were strutting him around. They were using him as Kamala Harris PR. It's like,
I could almost guarantee Jimmy Carter did not want to be shown like that on public TV.
I would think so. Yeah, I would think that would be the case for most people. It's like, yeah, don't take me out there in this shape. Just let me stay in my room with the hospice nurse and let's wrap it up. But hey, listen, half mast. Some people are excited about it. Some people aren't so excited about it. There's a lot of people in Washington that are freaked out right now, absolutely freaked out, and a lot of them we've seen are jumping ship. Christopher Wray resigned. You've had several others that are trying to get out of there before Trump gets in office. I saw that Matthew Graves, who is the Biden regime henchman, primarily responsible for persecuting January 6th protesters, he has announced his resignation. Now, this is the guy, this is the U.S. attorney that has prosecuted most, if not all, of January 6th protesters, because all of that resided in Washington, D.C. He's, U.S. District Attorney for D.C. He says he's out. And apparently, many people around him are freaked out that Donald Trump is going to, in fact, come after them when he takes office. They fear they will be imprisoned or at the very least go bankrupt. Many, federal prosecutors involved in the Trump witch hunts and January 6 cases are exiting the Justice Department at record rates. Many of Jack Smith's prosecutors also fear they will go bankrupt defending themselves if Trump's DOJ decides to launch an investigation into the Biden regime's weaponization of the department. Oh, they're afraid they'll go bankrupt. Kind of like all the January 6th protesters went bankrupt. Like they literally bled these people for every penny, dragging them through court. And they didn't have the means to do that. These were rich people. These were average Americans that were pissed off about what happened in 2020. And they got put through the ringer because whether it's the court system or the attorneys or the prosecutors, they know when they get somebody hemmed up like that, the longer they drag it out, the more likely it is for them to throw their hands up, the defendant, to throw their hands up and say, fine, I'll take a plea deal. I'm out of money. I can't pay my lawyer. And that's what they did throughout this whole
process. Alex Jones.
Yeah, exactly. And guess what? If Donald Trump and his DOJ does it to you now, that's going to be completely okay with me. Back after this.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
Here we go, the Line Talk 99.5. Talk995.com. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are keeping up with the Alabama-Michigan bowl game right here. But Michigan just scored, which is going to make it 13-0 Michigan. So
that was quick.
That was quick because I just turned it on. It was 6-0, and then they immediately scored.
The fastest quarter in football, any radio.
yeah. This is a Dale Jackson game, the fastest scoring football team in the history of college football. 4 minutes and 15 seconds left to go in the first quarter, so it's the beginning. There's nothing to worry about for you Bama fans. I didn't realize Michigan was 7-5. I didn't realize they lost 5 games.
Yeah.
That's a wonder that they got to go up against Alabama, who was 9-3.
Now, they beat Ohio State, didn't they?
They did.
The flag?
That probably put them over the edge. That game probably put them in there.
Well, I got Ohio State to win it all. I think they're going to take Oregon personally.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see Ohio State just wreck everybody else and make us look a little bit better.
Yeah.
But, I mean, whatever. It's just too much. College football is just too much for me, especially the way everything's going. I can't handle it. But that's what we'll do for you guys, because we know there's a lot of Alabama fans in this audience. Every time there's a score, we'll tell you when it happens. All right, even though most of you are probably watching it, we'll keep you posted as we go. Let's move over to, speaking of the lawfare. Well, before I get into that, let me tell everybody about Vapor Forge. Y'all know about Vapor Forge. Tony Gump knows about Vapor Forge.
A little bit.
Tony and Amy over there doing the thing. Y'all go by and check them out. Make it a New Year's resolution that you're not going to smoke cigarettes anymore. We want y'all to stop. We want you to stop. Just stop it. That's the reason Tony and Amy opened that place in the first place, is they wanted to get people off cigarettes. So go by there, tell them we said hey now, and get your vape, your Delta H, your CBD stuff. They've got so many options, such a selection, and the best prices. Go by there, and you're going to thank us for it later. 205-874-9010 is the number, and online, vaporforge.com. So, lawfare. Let's start with, let's say, E. Jean Carroll. So, E. Jean Carroll, everybody remembers her. She's the kooky lady. There is an appeals court that has held up E. Jean Carroll's $5 million judgment against Donald Trump. Now, this is the defamation case and everything else that you know about, but I want to read you some of this. An appeals court on Monday upheld E. Jean Carroll's $5 million judgment against Donald Trump. They said, we conclude that Mr. Trump has not demonstrated that the district court erred in any of the challenged rulings. Further, he has not carried his burden to show that any claimed error or combination of claimed errors affected his substantial right as required to warrant a new trial. That's what they were trying to do at the appeals court, get a new trial, yada, yada, yada. Trump's spokesman said in a statement, quote, "The American people have reelected President Trump with an overwhelming mandate, and they demand an immediate end to the political weaponization of our justice system and a swift dismissal of all the witch hunts, including the Democrat-funded Carroll hoax, which will continue to be appealed." Now, if you go back, you had a Manhattan jury reach a verdict in the E. Jean Carroll it was a rape defamation case, and ordered Donald Trump to pay her $5 million. And the whole thing was weird. First of all, in 2019, she alleges Donald Trump raped her at a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room back in the 90s. She claimed that in 2019, okay? 2019, she claims this. Trump denies all the allegations, called E. Jean Carroll a whack job, who's not my type. He's, I mean, you can see her on the screen. That's not Donald Trump's type. I don't know if you've seen the women that Donald Trump has been with, but it's definitely not his type. And she has a whack job. President Trump did not attend the trial, and Trump's lawyers did not call any witnesses to the stand because there were no witnesses, because it didn't happen. The jury decided that E. Jean Carroll did not prove that Trump raped her. However, the jury said that E. Jean Carroll proved Trump sexually abused her when he, quote, inserted his fingers into a place. I'll leave it at that. That's what the court said. It was not a rape, but it was a two-finger cul-de-sac, as they say. E. Jean Carroll is a whack job. There is no doubt in anybody's mind. If you go back and you listen to her on Anderson Cooper talk about the topic of rape, okay, that's really all you need to know about this lady.
I feel like a victim.
I was not thrown on the ground and ravished. Which the word rape carries so many sexual connotations. This was not sexual. It hurt. It just you know.
But I think most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
Let's take a short break.
Think of the fantasies.
We're going to take a quick break. If you can stick around, we'll talk more on the other side.
You're fascinating to talk to.
She goes, "You're fascinating to talk to." They don't think of it as a sexy thing. It's a sexy thing.
I'm getting vibes of Tim Walz's wife on this a little bit.
Oh, my God. Pull a picture of her back up. Okay, she does. She looks like Tim Walz's wife. Was it Glenn? Is her name Glenn?
Yeah, I just lost it.
Glenn? Oh, it's fine. She looks like Glenn Walz. And maybe they're related somehow. They're both kooky. Both them women are kooky.
They both got the eyes, that's for sure.
Dude, yeah.
TDS.
I'll never forget when Trump was doing the what was it? What do they call that? Where you give a statement.
I can't.
What's the word? The
deposition.
Deposition. We're thinking defamation. Deposition. He was giving his deposition, and it was on video. And there was a lady asking him questions, and he's like, she's not my type. And the lady's like, what are you talking? He goes, she's just not my type. Like you're not my type. Oh, no, that's so good. There's so many good Trump moments. I mean, he's the absolute best. He's so good. He's so good at this. But there's that. That'll continue to get appealed. I don't see anything happening in the near future with that. I think that's just going to continue to drag on, which is really probably what Democrats want. They really want that defamation lawsuit as a talking point. That's the only way it benefits them, is to be able to, in Congress, at press conferences, during committee hearings, to say, well, Donald Trump has been... They can't say any longer convicted of rape. They have to specify defamation, because ABC's George Slopadopoulos did it, and it cost him $15 million.
Yeah.
So you gotta be a little careful about what you say, okay? Because it could get expensive. And props to Donald Trump and his team for suing people over that stuff. Used to be in the past, the politicians just got railroaded by the media. It was just a fact of life. Like, if the media turned on you, that was it. You just had to go with the flow. I think that's what happened to Richard Nixon. instead of him being able, and he could have defended himself with what happened with Watergate and everything else, but because there was no way for him to fight back against the media, he just had to throw his hands up and back out.
With everything we've seen in the past 4 years, Watergate's looking like a pillow compared to all this. So I think he was totally set up, just saying.
Oh, yeah, I think he was too. It was now that we know how government works, I mean, we all had our suspicions. We all thought this stuff was shady, but now we know for a fact, and we've seen it in real time. And the media is the worst. The media is really the foundation of all of this corruption and this, covering for the corruption, but allowing politicians to get away with what they want to get away with. And when Washington, D.C., the machine, the swamp, the globalist, whatever you want to call it, want to get rid of somebody in the political circle, 99.9% of the time they can do it. 99.9% of the time they work all on one accord, in unison, and they can get whoever they want booted out of office, out of the spotlight, and then they move on about their life. Or in the case of the Clintons, they'll just whack them and make them disappear, have them suicide themselves.
Yeah.
But the 0.1% of people they haven't been able to knock out of politics with the media, with the Washington, D.C. machine, has been Donald Trump. And I think that's what drives them so crazy, is that they haven't been able to figure out how to do to Donald Trump what they've done to so many others. It's been a cakewalk in the past. But now it's like there's this guy, Teflon Don, whatever you want to call him, that they just can't get rid of. And not only that, but because he's been able to stick around, because he's been able to see it through, he has exposed these people for who they are. And some of them are having to admit it. There was a case on Face the Nation. They had a panel of people where they were discussing it was like their end of the year show, and they're talking about like what's the biggest underreported story of 2024. And one of these guests says, well, the biggest underreported story was the mental and physical decline of Joe Biden. And you can see the faces on the rest of these hosts. Yeah. They're shocked by it. Listen.
One of the things we also do in the year-end correspondence roundtable is dig into what was undercovered or underreported. Jan?
Undercovered, underreported. That would be, to me, Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline that became undeniable in the televised debate.
At the presidential debate with Donald Trump.
Unquestioned. And, it's starting to emerge now that his advisors kind of managed his limitations. It's been reported in the Wall Street Journal for 4 years. And yet he insisted that he could still run for president. We should have much more forcefully questioned whether he was fit for office for another 4 years, which could have led to a primary. For the Democrats. It could have changed the scope of the entire election.
Look at his face.
Still, incredibly, we read in the Washington Post that his advisors are saying that he regrets that he dropped out of the race. That he thinks he could have beaten Trump. And I think that is either delusional or they're gaslighting.
President Biden has said repeatedly he was sick during the debate June 27th in Atlanta.
Come
he's
on.
always been fine, and he leaves fine.
Come on.
His position, the position of many of his top aides as well, even though there is that reporting.
Robert Costa.
Journal interview.
Okay. he's like, well, you know what? Everybody said Joe Biden was on top of his game behind the scenes. I don't know what you're talking about. He could have totally beat Trump.
I don't know what world these people are living in, but we all knew, the whole time.
It's almost like, and we know the media gets their marching orders from on high, and it's like sometimes some of them get the marching orders and some of them didn't. And so they sit there and look at each other confused like, oh, we're not supposed to be saying that. What are you doing? What are you
memo,
doing?
Yeah.
Where's they? You not get the memo? We're still defending Joe Biden. Oh, it's bad. It's pretty bad. All right, let me hit this break, and we'll keep it rolling, man. This is a very special edition of The Line. New Year's Eve edition live on YouTube. If you want to find us, look up Over the Line, Andrew McClain. You can watch this radio show live in real time. Back after this.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io.
All right, guys. It is not looking good for Alabama so far. And I'm not, listen, I'm not saying that in a way that I'm taking joy in it. I'm not. I wish you all the best. All right. My season's over. I don't care. But it's 16-0 Alabama at the end of the first quarter.
Well, not Alabama. They're losing 16-0.
Oh, is that what? Did I say it backwards?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Alabama's losing 16-0 against Michigan. Boy, I tell you what, if Michigan wins this game, the Big Ten is going to have a heyday. They're going to be running around talking about we own the SEC.
I think Illinois even beat Michigan this year, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they did. And then I guess your game, Illinois versus South Carolina, if Illinois wins that game, it's just going to be bad for the SEC.
Oh, that'll be glorious because we never win anything.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's they're trying, though. Okay, here's what I think. The field seems to be super wet, but because I keep seeing them slipping, and I've seen a couple turnovers, so it's just bad weather conditions, I guess. Because I just watched two receivers slip and fall, and then Milroe ran the ball, slip and fell too. After
Are they having a punt again now?
Yeah.
Oh, man, here we go again.
Well, not good. But, hey, listen, if you're a Bama fan and you're frustrated with this game and you cut it off, you got us. All right, we're here for you.
I'll be honest, I'm rooting for Bama. I always root for Bama and Auburn to win every game until they play each other. Then I'm kind of neutral.
Yeah. Well, your wife's an Auburn fan, too. So,
yeah.
You sure you're neutral at the Iron Bowl, or do you side with her?
Well, it depends who's in the room. You know.
He's got to go with whatever works.
Yeah.
Anyway, Over the Line, Andrew McClain on YouTube. We're live right now. Thank y'all for hanging out with us, whether you're on YouTube or you're listening to us on 99.5 there in Birmingham or anywhere across the world on the Talk 99.5 app. Since we're talking about sports, and I've got something going on with my voice. I feel like, do I sound like I'm losing my voice?
No, you definitely do not.
You're gonna take the show over if I lose my voice. Underdog Fantasy
Yes.
Sports. Y'all heard me talk about this. Not only do I play Underdog Fantasy, Tony Gump plays Underdog Fantasy as well. And I want you guys to sign up. It is a free app, doesn't cost you anything. You can do it via the app, or you can do it. Go to underdogfantasy.com on your desktop. But this is so much fun. It really is. You're essentially putting together a team that of any sport, any team, whatever you want to do. Pick it anywhere from 2 to 8 players, and just seeing how it turns out. You're going to get their projected stats. For instance, you say Milroe is going to throw for at least 2 touchdowns. Let's say 1.5 touchdowns, so you want to say higher or lower. If you think he'll get 2 or more, you pick higher, and you do that for each player, and then you watch how it plays out, and guess what? You can win real money. You can win up to 1,000 times your money. We've done it, and we have a blast playing it. So here's what you do. Download the free app, but when you do, use the promo code HEYNOW, HEYNOW, all one word, Hey Now, and you're not only going to get a free pick to start off, but you're going to get your first deposit matched by 50%. That's free money in the bank, cuz. So download it, Underdog Fantasy Sports. Sign up with the promo code Hey Now and get to going. Must be 19 or older in Alabama and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. If you're concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Not org, but just org, just regular org. So y'all hook that up. The media, when it comes to, I don't know, 2024, what do you think, Tony Gump, is the biggest fail for the media in 2024? What was their biggest face plan of the year?
That's a tough one to say because there's so many of them. I mean, in a broad spectrum, I'd have to say the whole Orange Man bad concept, they've kind of dug themselves holes they can't get out of at this point. And they never play to both sides. And it seems like Fox keeps getting more viewers and the other ones just keep getting less. They're a dying breed. They're not going to be around too much longer the way it is, and especially if they get rid of all of the drug ads, the pharmaceutical ads and stuff.
Yeah,
that's most of their budget right there. There's always those ads on. So
yeah, you lose Pfizer, you're done because they pay a lot of money for this.
Yeah, Pfizer been in business 161 years, never cured one disease.
Right, and still need all this advertising. Come on.
Yeah,
man, everybody knows who Pfizer is. You don't have to run ads every single break. Steve, what about you? What do you think the biggest fail on behalf of the media is in 2024?
Underestimating the fact that we got ticked off over them downgrading us or putting us down because we were Trump supporters.
That's right. They underestimated the power of MAGA and thought there's no way Donald Trump's going to win this election. And that's why they were so willing to put Kamala Harris up, because they say we are up against such a weak opponent in Donald Trump. We have beaten him down for 8 years. There's no way he's going to win this election. I mean, people had been convinced for the most part throughout most of the election that there's no way that Donald Trump would win until it started getting closer and the polls were showing that Kamala Harris couldn't get any traction. So they then came out and lied about the polls. And they said, oh, well, Kamala Harris has got a slight lead. She's got it in the bag. Don't worry about it. And that they lost. They lost, and they ended up with egg all over their face. But no bigger moment than them trying to play the part of Joe Biden is okay.
Yeah.
Joe Biden is as sharp as he's ever been. Don't you worry about it. We don't need to replace Joe Biden because he is on top of his game, more so now than ever. Check out this montage of the media telling you Joe Biden's quite all right.
Does the president have the stamina, physically and mentally, do you think, to continue on even after 2024?
Don, you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States. You know, I can't even keep up with him.
The most difficult part about a meeting with President Biden is preparing for it, because he is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
I can testify because I've been working very closely with this president for the past 2 years. I've been knowing him for 30 years. And I'm telling you, this guy's tough. He's smart. He's on his game.
Joe Biden has vision. He has knowledge. He has a strategic thinker.
The president is focused. He's detail-oriented. He's always thinking about the big picture.
He is engaging. He is capable. He has an incredible record as president.
and I'm often with him on foreign trips. He's at the top of his game.
So he has a vision, he has knowledge, he has judgment, he has a strategic thinking.
I met with the president, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks ago, and he seemed fine to me.
I have complete confidence in the president.
There's no
I have
confidence.
watched him expertly guide meetings of staff and cabinet members. I could not have more confidence in the president.
I would just tell you that I meet frequently with the president, and every single time I meet with him, he is just fine.
But he is, again, knowledgeable, wise.
Incredibly sharp, incredibly probing, incredible command of the details.
He is sharp. He is on top of things.
There is nothing to these challenges, these suggestions that somehow he's not sharp and he's not capable.
We see Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issue.
And you're going to see how smart he is and the experience he has.
I say his age is an asset.
Aha!
He's wise.
Yes, he's wise. He has wisdom. He has experience.
And his experience, because of his age and his wisdom, has been invaluable to this country.
A lot of countries, people who've been in office a longer period of time are praised for their wisdom.
I have seen a lot of 72-year-olds not as capable as this 80-year-old.
It is hard for us to keep up with this president.
His mental acuity is great. It's fine. It's as good as it's been over the years. He's fine. All this right-wing propaganda that his mental acuity has declined is wrong.
And this kind of sense that he's not ready for this job is just a bucket of BS that's so deep, your boots will get stuck in.
Okay. Come on.
Did I hear them say he was probing a few times in there?
He was just, it's like, and you could see, like, I think the one guy on there was Dan Goldman. And Dan Goldman, you could look into his eyes as he stared into the camera and said, Joe Biden is perfectly fine, and know that there was an emptiness inside of him where he's like, I can't believe I'm having to say this because everybody can see Joe Biden. Everybody knows what's going on. Oh, it's bad.
This club must be so big to get that same memo. It's got to be huge. We just probably have no idea how big this really is.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, we got to hit this break. We're going to keep it rolling with hour number 2 coming up right after this. Find us on YouTube, by the way, Over the Line, Andrew McClain. And hang out with us live right here on the line. Hour number 2 coming up next.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
Hey, now, ladies and gentlemen, almost said a cuss word at the start of this hour because I banged my knee on the desk. Hey now, hey now. I legit almost said the F word, and my mic was hot, apparently. I'm glad I didn't. I stopped myself. But, yeah, there's a little bit of disconnect when you're not doing the show at the station, which, you know, AJ. By the way, AJ back in the house, never stops working. What's up, AJ?
What's going on, fellas?
He deals with this with Leland all the time because Leland's got a really nice studio, and I don't know that he's ever posted pictures of it, but when AJ and I we were over at his house a couple weeks ago, and he took us out. I guess he had just recently done some remodeling there.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually took some pictures and sent them to you. It's nice.
Yeah, I saw him. It's a nice place, and we got to go out there sometime and try out a zip line he's got going on.
Yeah, I saw the zip line too. AJ, you gonna get on that zip line at Leland's house?
Sure. I'm gonna wait till a couple more people use it, so I know it's safety regulated and all the other stuff. Get all the kinks out. You never want to be like the first person to do it. So, I'm gonna let a couple of people do it.
Oh well, then
I'll try it.
I saw his wife doing it, and she's still alive. So I mean,
well, he's gonna make sure she's good. I mean, I would too.
We need to make sure it's big boy safe before we get on there.
Exactly. Yeah. See now you get what I got to know what the weight requirement is.
Yeah, for real.
He mentioned 350, I believe, on
350, huh?
Yeah, yeah, okay. I'm gonna wait.
Maybe get some inspectors down there or something.
I'm gonna wait. I want to see this.
Wow. Good stuff.
What I don't want to do is get on that thing and it'd be like Miley Cyrus, like a wrecking ball. Just
imagine the video footage of that, though.
Yeah, let's not.
We get to play it on this podcast. It'd be awesome.
No. See. Andrew. See, that's the problem. You're always looking for a reason to embarrass somebody. We're not doing that. No, not in 2025 and at the end of 2024. We're not doing that.
Well,
we're done.
I don't know that it's embarrassing people. It's just, content is king. And so if content is available.
Well, true, but that's not on my expense. I don't want to be the content or the butt of you. Yeah, I'm not finna happen. I did that. Look, I learned from hey, look, fool me once.
Yeah.
Shame on me. Fool me twice. Shame on me again, because I was dumb enough to do it twice.
This is the point where we really feel the pain of losing John Bird, because John Bird would have absolutely got on that zip line, no matter how safe it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have done that.
Well, and see, that's the reason why he was a liability. Insurance could not cover it.
Maybe that's where all this started. It was the insurance deal. I was like, that's not safe enough. Very excited, by the way. We're going to be doing a New Year's Eve podcast. It's going to be live. You can find it on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, Facebook. John Bird will be here. Is he going to be playing any music, any live music? Do you know?
I believe he's got a parody lined up, and he's got an Angry Shakespeare as well.
That's right. We got an Angry Shakespeare to premiere. Do you know what song it is?
Is
it the DMX song?
It's a Dr. Dre song. I can't remember which one it is, but it starts out hot.
I think he's fascinated with Dr. Dre and Tupac, the whole West Coast vibe.
He really is.
I've noticed that.
I was with him at Walmart when we did the Tesla ride, and he bought a Tupac shirt at Walmart.
Yep.
he likes it. He likes it a lot. All right, so a lot of stuff to get in. If you want to do that, 205-545-9950. Text or call. Keeping an eye on the Alabama game. It is still 16-0. Alabama has not scored from what I have seen. But I do know at the station right now, they are allegedly having a watch party. Is that right? Have you seen any of this, AJ?
I'm assuming in the lounge with the big screen and all that stuff. Yeah, I think there are people watching. But I told the big boss, I was like, look, unlike them, someone still has to work. So
yeah,
I
for
did not
real.
get a chance to see any of that.
Well, I got the email yesterday, and they're like, we're going to be watching the game, we're going to be eating, we're going to be doing some games, and giving away prizes. And I'm like, what, one day I'm not there? You're going to give away prize? What kind of prizes are they giving away?
You know what? That's a good question. Well, and then, it's like the squares, and so whatever your number.
That's right.
Yeah, so I have one of the numbers, but the other one, yeah. So
what do you know what your numbers are?
I think mine's like 6 and 2.
6 and 2. Oof.
Yeah.
Well, you got the 6 right at the end of the first quarter,
right,
but
just not the 2 part.
You got to get the 2. Well, if Michigan can get a safety against Alabama before this quarter's over, then it'll be 16-2, and you'd hit. So that'd be good.
Well, Alabama has to get a safety. You said Michigan.
Yeah. Well, Alabama's got to get. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. See, I don't even like football anymore. Didn't I tell you all that already? I'm tired of football. I don't even know how it works anymore.
How did your team do?
I don't know. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch any of that, actually. Let's talk about news. Enough football. I don't want to talk about football anymore. 545-9950. That'll get you in. I'll check y'all's text here in a minute. we were, over the past couple segments, we were talking about the media. And over the course of 2024, what's been their biggest failures? What's the biggest face plants they've done? And I think one of the top ones, as we noted, was probably trying to cover for Joe Biden's cognitive decline and the fact that the dude was out of it. We now know, thanks to reports, that staffers were having to work within certain parameters to be able to, prop Joe Biden up like a Weekend at Bernie's deal because he couldn't perform the job. It was other people performing the job. It was like handling somebody with kid gloves. It was like, if you're taking care of your elderly grandparents, right? There's parameters, there's limitations. Like, you may want to go take a walk at the park, but your grandpa's too old to take a walk at the park, so you can't do that. Different things like this. And I think it was much worse than anybody ever realized. And the media ended up with egg all over their face because they covered for it. And they knew it was a lie because they were seeing the same things we were. And it's what they do. I go back to COVID, which Facebook, YouTube's not going to like me saying this, but I got to say it anyway. You go back to the virus, okay, and how they lied and covered and put the experimental jabs in all these different people's arms and everything else. And on the backside, we find out that the thing wasn't near as deadly as they told us it was. And the vaccine wasn't nearly as effective as they told us it was. It all was changing in real time. And a lot of people noticed that, but they had no shame. They didn't take a second to look back, have some self-reflection and say, you know what? We keep having to change this. Maybe we're not right. Because every time they would come out with a mandate or whatever, it would always be, this is what the science says. This is the truth. This is the fact of the matter. You need to do what we say. You need to be 6 feet apart. You need to only walk one way down a grocery aisle. You need to wear your mask and all. And none of it made sense to a lot of people. But so many in society went along with it. And now that we're at the end of that, everybody's looking back saying, man, we got really bamboozled. Even people that were on board with it all along are looking back and saying, we got really bamboozled. You think about the medications that you were told were dangerous, from hydroxychloroquine to ivermectin and all these other things that now they're like, well, I mean, it's not that bad. It's been around for decades. You can take it if you want it. But before it was like horse goo. You can't take horse goo. You're not a horse. Even the CDC put that out on Twitter, and they were like, you're not a horse, y'all. Don't take horse goo.
Well, they would have never been able to do the rollout of the jabs if ivermectin was actually known as a treatment for it. They would have never got their authorization.
That's right. We could have solved the problem, but that would not have benefited Pfizer or Moderna or J&J or whoever. But here we go again, ladies and gentlemen. There is a COVID tyrant by the name of Dr. Lena Wen. And Dr. Lena Wen is one of these doctors that's always on MSNBC or CNN or whatever. She was kind of the female version of Fauci when, things really got rolling, and she was telling everybody to do the same things that Fauci was saying. You got to trust the science. You got to do this and that. Well, she's back in the spotlight. She's back on TV over the weekend, this time talking about the bird flu and how the bird flu is so bad at this point that we need to start getting jabs of the bird flu vaccine into the arms of people. That's right. It's Jab 'em Up Fest Part 2, says Dr. Lena Wen.
What should be happening in the Biden administration right now that isn't going on?
Yeah, there are two main things that they should be doing in the days that they have left. The first is to get testing out there. I feel like we should have learned our lesson from COVID that just because we aren't testing, it doesn't mean that the virus isn't there. It just means that we aren't looking for it. We should be having rapid tests, home tests available to all farm workers, to their families, for the clinicians taking care of them, so that we aren't waiting for public labs and CDC labs to tell us what's bird flu or not. And the second very important thing is, this is not like the beginning of COVID where we We're dealing with a new virus. We didn't have a vaccine. There actually is a vaccine developed already against H5N1. The Biden administration has contracted with manufacturers.
Do you notice?
to
All right,
make
that's enough of her.
almost
Do you notice how she talks like she's in a Jackie Chan movie? We have to get the vaccines. We've already got them. And the pharmaceutical companies will make lots of money if you take your vaccine. We're not doing that. We're not. We're done. We're done. We're done with that. We're not doing it again. I don't care what your bird flu deal is. If you go back and look at Lena Wynn, whatever her name is, and see the things she was saying during COVID, you would be shocked. Listen.
There be a federal mask mandate?
Yeah, at this point, there absolutely should be that mandate because we know that if all of us wear masks, we reduce the chance of transmitting or acquiring COVID-19 by 5 times. There is a real danger when we politicize science. That public trust is broken when we are politicizing science instead of following scientific process. My kids are not eligible to be vaccinated. It's not that I don't want them to be vaccinated, it's that they can't be. And I do really worry. I mean, I have an almost 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. I cannot wait until they're eligible to receive the vaccine.
Oh, my God.
I think until then, mask wearing for kids, especially if we are living in high transmission areas, is still going to be important. And what we really need to do at this point is to make vaccination the easy choice. It needs to be hard for people to remain unvaccinated. I mean, we wouldn't imagine bringing together 20, 30 unvaccinated adults, putting them in a single room together the entire day and have them not wear masks. Why would we say that that's okay for our children? Travel and having the right to travel interstate, it's not a constitutional right as far as I know to board a plane. And so saying that if you want to stay unvaccinated, that's your choice. But if you want to travel, you better go get that vaccine. I agree that masks are a very powerful layer of protection, but it's one layer. And if we have so many other layers that are present, masking may be one that could go away. But we are nowhere near that yet. And I think what we really need to do is get the vaccines authorized for children as soon as that's possible. There is no evidence whatsoever for any other vaccine causing long-term consequences. We really should be a lot more worried about the virus and the short-term as well as long-term consequences on our children as opposed to the vaccine. Make sure that you're wearing a mask, even though it's outdoors. If there are lots of people packed around you, wearing a 3-ply surgical mask. Don't wear a cloth mask. Cloth masks are little more than facial decorations. There actually is a harm that we should be discussing of children continuing to mask. We should also be intellectually honest and say that masking has had a cost, especially for the youngest learners, so the risk-benefit calculation has really changed. I'm the mom of 2 little kids under 5. I can't wait until they are vaccinated, but I would wait until we find that the vaccines are safe and effective. And I'm not sure that we can say that at the moment because we just don't have the data. But I also think that other parents would want to wait until we know that 3 doses will produce the intended effect. I'm not saying, I don't think anyone really is saying that no one should ever wear masks, but rather that the responsibility should shift from a government mandate imposed from the state or the local district or the school. Rather, it should shift to an individual responsibility by the family.
This is the exact opposite of everything she said before. Boy, I bet those checks from Pfizer were nice, though. Bet she bought a lot of cool stuff.
Well, you know they were. And I got to say, the first time I put on a mask and I actually smelled a fart through the mask, I knew it was all a sham.
Yeah, that's right. If a fart can get through there, COVID can get through there. All right, 205-545-9950. Bama scored 7-16. Michigan. That's your reliable update. Alabama's coming back. Thank you all for those of you hanging out with us on YouTube and everything else. If you need to find us, you want to watch this show live, go to YouTube, look up Over the Line, Andrew McClain, join us. We got plenty of people in the chat on that front, from Boomer to Bama Phoenix to my buddy, my wild hair jerky buddy, and everybody else. So y'all hook that up. Over the Line, Andrew McClain on YouTube. Let me hit this break. Coming back on the other side. Y'all hang tight.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io.
Here we go. Yeah, baby. 4 hours live and local and worldwide on the internet. Yeah. Hey, well, before I get into that, let me tell you about Noto Roofing. Noto Roofing, NOTOroofing.com. Those are my guys. Those are my roofing guys. And I tell you what, over at Tony Gump's place, they did some work as well.
Fantastic job, by the way, Chris. Thank you.
They're doing work for everybody, and they're waiting on you to call them for that free roof inspection. It doesn't cost you anything. And what they do, and this is what I love about them, they get up there on your roof. They don't send a drone up there and just look through a drone. They actually go up there and feel around and look around. But they give you a complimentary roof tune-up while they're up there. If they see some small issues they can take care of right there on the spot, they do it, and they don't charge you anything. But if there are major issues, at least you know, and then you can make a decision on whether or not you want to go with Noto. If you do, they're going to help you file that insurance claim and everything else and get you on track. I'm telling you, best in the business. That's why I talk about them so much, because I love those guys and I love what they do. Give them a call, 205-848-2299. That is 205-848-2299. Online, NotoRoofing.com. On the front of bird flu, by the way, officials in Maricopa County, Arizona, are saying that they're detecting bird flu in their county wastewater.
Here we go.
Here we go. It's in the wastewater.
Setting it up.
Somebody has been pooping out the bird flu. I mean, it's whatever. I wouldn't worry about it a whole lot. I mean, as the famous, intelligent Dr. Wynn says, we've already got the vaccines for the bird flu, and you take it if you want, or, just catch the bird flu. I don't know. I don't know how. I don't trust the people that are telling me this is a big deal as far as I can throw them. If those are the people telling me it's a big deal, I'm not going to believe you. I'll let Florida Surgeon General, what's that guy's name, the black guy? Let him tell me that the bird flu is a big deal, and then maybe I'll consider it. I trust that guy. But I don't trust Dr. Wen. I don't trust what's the one guy's name?
Talking about Fauci?
There's Fauci, and then there's the other guy. What's his name? It starts with an H. It's like
Hotez.
Hotez. Peter, is it Peter Hotez?
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't trust those people. I don't. They're they cost more lives than they saved. I'm thoroughly convinced of that. So whatever you want to do with the bird flu, do it. I got tagged on Twitter in a post about a particular band, the Mean Green Marching Machine. It's a marching band out of Mississippi. It's the Mississippi Valley State University Marching Band. And this is an HBCU, from what I understand. I haven't done a lot of research on this. Somebody just tagged me in it. Let me see who it was that tagged me. Snap into a Slim Jim. That's the name that they tagged. And this band, this HBCU band, is trying to make their way to D.C. to play in Donald Trump's inauguration. Apparently, they've been invited. But being a smaller school, they need help. They need help with funds to get the band there, to get all the equipment there, to perform and everything else. I think it would be super cool to see this HBCU band play. And they've been catching a lot of heat, apparently, for accepting the invite. But they want to do it anyway, and they got to have the funds to do it. So I understand it's Christmas and everything else, and everybody's kind of strapped. But if y'all want to make a donation to this band, they have a GoFundMe. And let me tell you what this GoFundMe says. I just thought this was kind of a cool thing that I hadn't heard anything about. Mean Green of Mississippi Valley State University. That's the name. And wow, they're attempting to raise $120,000 to get them there and get them back. They've raised $109,000 so far. So they've only got $10K to go. So if you want to do that, go to GoFundMe.com. Type in Mean Green of Mississippi Valley State University, and everybody throw $5 or $10 on there and help these guys and gals get to the inauguration. And it's a way to say good for you. It's a way to say thank you for not folding in the face of the pushback that they're getting because they're going up there as an HBCU to play for Donald Trump's inauguration. Good for them. That's what I like to see. I like to see people standing up against woke culture, telling them to shove it, that you're going to do what you want to do, you're going to believe in what you want to believe, and they can't do anything about it. That's what I like. Bottom of the hour, let's hit this. We'll come back on the other side. Keep rolling with this very special edition of The Line.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
So, Joe Biden is back from vacation, in case anybody's keeping count. He just arrived back in Washington, D.C., and if you think he's going to work, actually, he's not. He just ended his taxpayer-funded vacation in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and now he's leaving for Delaware, where he'll spend the night before he heads to Camp David.
Oh, gosh.
Joe Biden has spent 575 days of his presidency on vacation. That is 40%. And you remember when people used to talk about how much Obama played golf or how much Donald Trump played golf? 40% of your term has been on vacation? That's crazy.
That is crazy. And I got to say, golf, you can actually do work on the golf course if you're president. I kid you not. That's what he does.
Cutting deals and everything else. Yeah, we know Trump can do that for sure.
Yeah, you invite other world leaders or somebody important to come play with you, and you talk business the whole time.
Who was the world leader that said he was starting to practice golf since Trump won because he wanted to be able to play? I think it was it South Korea's president or no? South Korea has a bunch of crap going on. It was a president of some country. He's like, yeah, I'm going to start playing golf so I can play with Donald Trump. But this goes back to the parameters that Joe Biden and his staff, Joe Biden's staff has to work within. And some of it for them, it's probably like, hey, it's easier to just take the guy off to the beach. It's easier to take him back to Delaware, or, to Camp David and just set him down because he can't do anything. Like I've talked to people in Secret Service, and there is such an enormous amount of resources that are spent on Joe Biden's Delaware home because he's there so often. Not protecting the White House or the Capitol or what. They're in Delaware all the time, even when he's not there. But most of the time he is there, doing what Secret Service does. And they do a good job. But it's amazing how out of whack the priorities are. And are they even really able to keep their protectees safe when the protectee's son is Hunter Biden and he's bringing God knows who through the house?
Well, I just got to say, I think he's been going to Delaware a lot because at the White House, every visitor he has to be logged into the book. But if he's at his house in Delaware, all of his visitors that he gets, he does not have to report them by law, so people can just come and go as they want, and we never find out who shows up.
That's right. They get all their shady business dealings done in Delaware, and nobody's ever going to know who's coming and going.
Yep.
Nobody knows. By the way, halftime in this Alabama versus Michigan game, Alabama kicks a field goal. It's now 10-6. I'm sorry, 10-16. Michigan with a 6-point lead in case y'all are keeping score. Well, there you go. Alabama's trying to creep back in there. And, hey, maybe they'll do it. Maybe they'll do it. One of the other things Joe Biden's been really good at outside of going on vacation has been sending money to Ukraine, as we know. The Biden White House has decided they're going to give another $2.5 billion to Ukraine. They said this yesterday. What's ironic about that is they just sent a $1.25 billion donation on Friday. So it's like we're gonna do a little over $1 billion on Friday, and then Monday came around and they're like, we can do another $2.5 billion. And that's what they did.
And meanwhile, the people are waiting in North Carolina for their money. And all this money we spent to Ukraine, we could have built 10 walls by now.
People in North Carolina are still living in tents. They're running out of food. I saw a story the other day. They're running out of propane to heat their tents or their campers. And how utterly disgusting of a human being do you have to be to still, to this day, weeks and weeks after Hurricane Helene, to still ignore those people and in the face of that send money to a foreign country? We have sent, despite Joe Biden, feeble Joe Biden, sending Ukraine, giving Ukraine 30%. Now this is not a joke. This is actual numbers. 30% of our stockpile of long-range missiles. Kiev, Ukraine, is running out of them. And none of this has changed the course of that war. We have depleted our own stockpiles, our own weapons, sent them to Ukraine, and nothing's happened good for Ukraine. There have been no advancements. Ukraine has not done anything that has given anybody the idea that Ukraine could possibly win this war. And that reality is setting in quickly, not just for people across the world, but for people in Ukraine, for Vladimir Zelensky, who understands that Donald Trump is not going to continue to fund this never-ending war. I mean, you could, at the end of the day, you could continue to fund it and it would be over at some point, but it's not going to be over because Ukraine won the battle. It's going to be over because Russia has invaded all of Ukraine. That's when the war would end. So Donald Trump, by putting an end to this, would actually be doing Ukraine a favor, and maybe they can save face and keep some of their land. But it's crazy how far they've let this go.
Yeah, you'd almost think they're trying to purposely bankrupt this country for some reason. I don't know.
And one of Donald Trump's MOs, he's always said this for years and years and years, was why are we sending money to other countries? He would say that all the time, way before the Ukraine war, way before Afghanistan, before 9/11, back in the 80s and the 90s, he would say, why are we sending people money that hate us? Why are we sending these other countries money when we have so many problems here at home? And it was a very simple idea. It was a simple suggestion to say, hey, let's handle our stuff first. Because everybody knows you can't take care of somebody else until you take care of yourself first. That's not a selfish thing. That's just reality. If you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to have anything to offer anyone. So if you want to be the Mother Teresa of the world, the Mother Teresa of Europe or whatever, you better take care of yourself because eventually you're going to have nada to give to Ukraine. And that's the position we, as the United States of America, are in. We're getting down to where we've got nada. We got to put a stop to this war. We got to put a stop to sending all this money, sending all this weaponry, and we've got to take a couple years to build back up our stockpile. We got to take a couple years to build up our strategic oil reserve and everything else that we've depleted. For what? For what? Because of incompetent leadership mixed with a globalist agenda that is hell-bent on destroying this country. And what else has Joe Biden accomplished? Can you think of anything? Pardoning people off death row? I mean, he's probably not done with that, by the way. He's probably got a lot more to go.
Yeah, I think he's saving the good ones for the very end.
yeah, I think so,
Fauci,
too.
whoever.
Including himself, I'm sure. There has been talk online about Joe Biden, and these are leftists saying this stuff, that Joe Biden needs to pardon the IRS contractor that stole and leaked Trump's tax returns. You remember when that happened?
Yeah.
And it was such a big deal. It's all the leftist media ever wanted, the mainstream media. All they wanted was Donald Trump's tax returns. And when they got him, do you remember the big Rachel Maddow show where she finally got his tax returns? And
she was so happy.
She was excited. And they start reading through them, and there wasn't anything there. She's like, oh, well, this looks fishy. So they want the guy that stole them, which was illegal, by the way, got him sent to prison. They want Joe Biden to pardon this guy. Why? He broke the law. He knew he broke the law. And it wasn't even some sort of long-term IRS guy. He started in, what did it say? He started in like 2018, and in 2020 is when he got fired. You've been working there for 3 years. Whoop-de-doo. January 2024, the IRS contractor named Charles Littlejohn. Yeah. Charles Littlejohn was sentenced to 5 years in prison for disclosing thousands of tax returns without authorization. And now Democrats are lobbying Biden to pardon the Democratic operative who leaked Trump's tax returns while working for the Democrat-run Booz Allen, which landed plumb near IRS contract from Biden despite breach. That's according to that tweet. Last year, federal prosecutors charged Littlejohn, who worked for the agency from 2018 to 2020 for unlawfully obtaining and disseminating the tax details of a high-ranking public official and numerous affluent Americans to media outlets. According to the court documents and an official press release from the DOJ, Charles Littlejohn, who's 38 years old, of Washington, D.C., stole tax return information associated with a high-ranking government official referred to as Public Official A. He then disclosed this information to a news organization identified as News Organization 1. A source familiar with the matter informed CNN that unnamed official mentioned in the legal documents is former President Donald Trump. Littlejohn reportedly stole the IRS information on thousands of wealthy people. Then the stolen information was then disseminated to 2 news outlets. He separately stole tax return information for thousands of the nation's wealthiest individuals. He was again able to evade IRS detection. In November of 2020, he disclosed this tax return information to News Organization 2, which published over 50 articles using the stolen data. He then obstructed the forthcoming investigation into his conduct by deleting and destroying evidence of his disclosures. And yeah, we need to let him out of jail. Why? Well, why is that? Because he stole Donald Trump's tax returns. I'd be more upset with the person that did Donald Trump's tax returns for not having anything more juicy in there, because they got nothing out of it. Absolutely nothing. That was from the very beginning of the 2016 campaign. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
And they were pushing him, and they were like, Mr. Trump, would you release your tax returns? And he's like, maybe. I don't know. He's just straight up, I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. And he decided he didn't want to, which was a smart move. Because even if your tax returns are squeaky clean, if you have tax returns that are as complex as Donald Trump's are, they'll be able to take anything and everything out of context and use it against you. So his view was, well, why give it to them? How is it going to benefit me to give them my tax returns? A lot of this stuff's already public. Y'all know what I'm doing, and you know the people on the other side of the aisle hate me so much that if there is criminal activity, they're going to come after me. But there wasn't. And instead, they had to make up criminal activity with the Russia hoax, E. Jean Carroll, January 6th. What else? The Ukraine hoax. One after another. But the left says, well, let's pardon this guy. He needs to be put out of jail. He's blah. And then you look at the other people that Joe Biden's pardoned. Oh, it's bad. I went through a list the other day. I'm sure you heard it. There's some really heinous people on that list. I tell you what, let me hit this break. I'll come back on the other side, and I'll tell you about some of them. 205-545-9950. It's The Line, Talk 99.5.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io.
All right, here we go. The Line Talk 99.5. I'm spending my commercial breaks watching Roll Tide Willie videos. By the way, I was just trying to get his reaction to see what he's saying about the game.
Is he already plastered or?
Probably. If you will, Tony, go to my likes real quick. We'll play one of Roll Tide Willie's. What are they? I've been trying to get this guy on the podcast, but they won't respond to me. I'm like, I just want to give you some free PR, but like, I think Roll Tide Willie's incredibly funny. Blitz, Bama, blitz! Don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide. Oh, here he is, right here. Listen to this. This is Roll Tide Willie.
Really slow start, finally get somewhere with it, baby. Come on, Bama.
Yeah, but when they change their shoes.
That's right, we sliding around.
Sliding around and change the shoe, they playing ball. They playing that good kite ball.
Hey, we got to keep it going right here.
Keep it going. Come on.
Tell them, little Willie. Can't mess with the Tide, baby.
I'm a blitz.
Okay.
God.
I can't get enough of that.
He's already got it tied over.
Blitz, Bama, blitz! Can we please get him on the show? I mean, I think I looked up where he's from. I think he's from somewhere, I think it's south of Selma, maybe. But I'd love to get that guy in studio.
Yeah, he'd be awesome.
I just couldn't tell him I'm a Tennessee fan. He'd never come on the show. But we'd have fun, I think. I watched him. Theo Vaughn brought him on his podcast one time for like a few minutes. It was one of the funniest things. He was asking him if he would date a girl if she was super hot, but she was an LSU fan. And he'd be like, nope, I ain't going to do it. I don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide.
Well, that's something just like for us. Like, would you date a hot girl if she was a super liberal? You know,
couldn't
of course
do it.
Not.
Couldn't do it. Could not. Okay, that's too much. Too much. Let me go back to the pardons and stuff. I want to talk about that for a moment. First, TCW Construction. TCW Construction. That's my boy Trent out there doing some of the prettiest construction you've ever seen in your life. And if you want to see it for yourself, go to Facebook. Look up TCW Construction. They've got a page on there. They post some of their projects and everything else. And they do this stuff year-round. So don't think like, oh, it's January. He's not going to do it. Go ahead and get it done. And that way, when spring rolls around, almost feels like spring already, you've got it done. New walkways, sidewalks, patios, retaining walls. It's just the options are endless. It could be as simple as hauling some rocks, putting them on your driveway, flattening some land, whatever the case is. TCW's got you covered. Trent is the absolute man. I love what he does, and I'm honored to call him a friend. Here's his phone number, 205-389-3536. That's 205-389-3536. TCW Construction. You'll hook that up. And let him know that we sent you. That's the important part. So, pardons by Joe Biden, and there's an entire list, and we're not going to go through all of them. We've talked about them a little bit before. But there was one guy in particular, I would dare call this guy a monster, who brutally murdered 2 female bankers, okay? He has been pardoned from death row by Joe Biden. He's been pardoned by Joe Biden, and now he's serving a life sentence. But he's been emboldened by this death row pardon, and now he's making new commands. He's wanting compassionate release because he was kept in solitary confinement due to his death row sentence, and he says it's really messed him up, and he's asking the courts to go ahead and just cut him loose. By the way, these murders, it was a robbery of 2 ladies at a bank who worked at the bank. It happened in 2017. This wasn't from the 90s or the 80s. This happened in 2017. And when he went to trial in 2019, here's one of the news reports from his conviction.
And all caught on camera. Over the past 2 weeks, jurors watched surveillance videos of counsel walking into the Crestcom Bank and shooting the 2 employees, as well as the robberies at a North Carolina Food Lion and BB&T Bank.
This is obvious that the jury considered all the evidence, they took their time, and justice was done in the end.
Counsel's defense team never denied he killed Skeen and Major. Their main argument was counsel's tough childhood after his grandmother died and the abuse he went through while at the Dobbs training school. But prosecutors say counsel still chose to do what he did.
Everybody has some things in their past that they want to be considered. And at the end of the day, I believe this jury focused on what happened on August 21st.
The victims' families said counsel's sentence won't bring back their loved ones, but at least the man that took them away will suffer the same fate.
The events that happened on that day, as you see evidenced in court today, is nothing that's going to hold us back, and we see that the final verdict is that good has overcome evil.
At least at that point it had, until Joe Biden pardoned this man. One thing that stuck out to me was the fact that they told the news outlet, they said, you know, this verdict is not going to bring our family members back, but at least he's going to suffer the same fate as our family members did, meaning he's going to die like they did at his hands. And now that's not the case anymore. Whether or not, and I doubt this guy would be let out of prison, but whether or not he is, he still is going to avoid death row, and it's going to prevent closure for that family who suffered so greatly. You think about this is not 2 victims that were, you know, in a bad part of town and were, you know, in the middle of a drug deal and got murdered, even though the life of everybody is equal. These were 2 ladies doing their job at a bank. These were your 2 local bankers that were brutally murdered in a bank robbery, shot and killed in such brutal fashion. And what does creepy old Joe Biden do? He takes the guy off death row, gives him a reward, and says, hey, you know, you can spend the rest of your days in general population. You no longer have to worry about the state killing you. It's really disgusting. I mean, I don't even have words for it. And some of the other crimes that I had seen committed by others that have been pardoned off of death row, it's like, who in their right mind would ever even think to touch those cases? When it comes to presidential pardons, whether it's just pardoning from death row or an all-out pardon, letting them out of prison, usually there's some kind of connection to the president or the people around him. You know, it's almost like doing a favor for somebody. But where's the connection here? I mean, is that one of, you know, Hunter Biden's old homeboys? Did he buy crack from him at one time and said, hey, Dad, can you get him off death row? I think an explanation of that would be great. I think pardons should come with explanations as to why you pardoned each and every one. And Joe Biden has pardoned a ton of them. It is hour number 3 coming up next on the line. Y'all hang tight.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, and now, it's hour number 3 of the Line Talk 99.5, Talk995.com. That's right. Tony Gump, we have made it 3 hours. We're at the final one.
75% through.
But, yeah, because we had, for those of you that are just joining us, we did Del Jackson's show today, which we also apparently have to do Thursday and Friday. But today's special. It's not just special because it's New Year's Eve. It's also special because we are live. You're able to watch this watch this radio show on our channel, on our YouTube channel, which is not something I noticed, by the way. There's stations across the country that do this, and they'll have they've got it over at Jogs. They've got some cameras set up that'll swap back and forth from the producer to the host and everything else. We don't have anything like that at 99.5, at least not yet. So this is kind of, one time, one of a kind deal that we do the radio show where people can watch it.
I think they should do something like this in the future. I think it's the future of everything. You're going to have to have video in some form.
You got to go digital, baby. So if y'all want to watch this last hour of the show, go to YouTube, look up Over the Line Andrew McLean, and you can see mine and Tony Gump's beautiful faces as we that was a good shot, by the way. As we wrap up this last hour and get ready for a big New Year's Eve party that will also be broadcasted live tonight starting at 9 p.m. That'll be available on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Rumble, and am I missing something?
Oh, you'll get to see Bird.
And John Bird's going to be here. That's right. John Bird's going to be a part of the celebrations. Let's not forget that. What about you, AJ? What's your plans for the big New Year's Eve? Ringing in the New Year's.
All right, well, not too much because, I have a newborn, so I can't go out and do anything wild and crazy. So I'm just going to have a very chill night with the with my wife and my 2 babies and the in-laws. Just probably watching some movie or something like that.
Watching some balls drop, right?
Well
that's what everybody else says they're doing. So
now, what you, Tony, and Bird do? Hey, that's up on y'all.
No, we're not doing no ball drops over here. We actually last year we had this graphic, and I don't know that it worked like we planned on it working, but Bird had put together this graphic of Vulcan, and as the countdown started from like 30 seconds to midnight, it had Vulcan had shorts on. And the pants would slowly slide down with each second until they hit the ground, and then it would be like "Happy New Year," and it was kind of funny. I actually liked it. I don't know if
we'll be drinking the peanut butter whiskey, but we won't be having what you brought that one time, AJ, the BBC.
the BBD is what it was.
BBD, yeah.
BBD.
Can we? I don't remember if we could say that. I mean, it's a brand name.
I'm sure it is, but no.
It was Big Black
Richard.
Package.
Big Black Richard, but just exchange the word Richard. You can find it online, I'm sure. It's Caribbean rum, dark rum, if you will.
Dark rum.
Dark rum.
You got to let everybody know it's very dark.
It tasted a little tangy too.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I mean, it wasn't too bad. It was a little stout, but we got to get you back on the podcast. By the way, there's what did we name? Oh, that's right. You came on the podcast the first time, and we named the podcast show, we named the title it Goodbye AJ. And we were bombarded with messages about whether or not you were quitting. They thought you were quitting the station.
Oh.
And I'm like, do y'all not? Have y'all never listened to AJ before? That's what he says.
Right. Well, I mean, and still people don't know where the whole Goodbye AJ came from. So
where did it come from?
I mean, it was just, one day Leland just said, say goodbye, AJ. And I was like, all right, goodbye, AJ. And it just stuck.
That's
like
right.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing like dramatic or anything like that. There was like this long pause and, the sun and the moon aligned to create this beautiful eclipse that lasts for like 3 hours.
Right.
I
didn't know
God's voice was in the air, and then he was like, "Say it, say goodbye, AJ."
I thought maybe like when y'all left 101, I was listening to that last broadcast because I was trying to sneak my way in over there already as it was, and I thought maybe y'all's last episode that you said goodbye AJ for the first time is like an official goodbye to that station.
No, I was saying that way before the cult.
Yeah, the cult. Yeah. That was a weird episode, though. I mean, I got to admit, I was shocked because I had no idea about any of that stuff, and I thought Leland was my golden ticket to get in at that station, which turned out he actually was still. But when he left, I was like, I'm screwed now. I'm never going to get in over there. And Leland's the only one that likes me. You probably liked me, too. We worked together a few times when I filled in, but... Anyway, New Year's Eve plans, what do y'all got? Let me know. I'd love to hear them. 205-545-9950. I think I got Craig in Gardendale online, too. Craig, what's up, buddy?
Oh, he dropped off.
Bye, Craig. Goodbye, Craig. So I don't like not being able to see the phones. But, yeah, if you want to get in, 205-545-9950. Let me do this before I go any further, and then I'll come back to the phones. We're talking about pardons, talking about criminals, talking about how dangerous it is in America, New York City in particular. How dangerous is it in New York City? A lady just got set on fire. They still haven't been able to identify this lady, and it's bad. And it happens again. It almost happens every day. But the latest one is a man, immigration status unknown. I'll go ahead and go out on a limb and say he's probably here illegally. Slashed a subway rider's neck in New York City during this ongoing wave of subway violence. Just walked up and slashed somebody's neck. This is from Eyewitness News, ABC 7.
A man is in custody for slashing a subway rider in the neck on a northbound C train. This was in Midtown just before 1:30 this morning. The victim got off the train at the 50th Street station, was taken to Bellevue in stable condition. Police caught the suspect who stayed on this train at the 59th Street Columbus Circle station. He's being treated for a hand injury. Charges are pending.
So there you go. Illegal immigrants, and dare I say, slashing people's necks, setting people on fire. And what do we have to show for it? Except New York City, I can't imagine. I mean, New York's. I had this conversation with my buddy. We call him Popo over the weekend. He met us up in Chattanooga. I can't imagine anybody that wants to go to New York City at this point. I mean, at one time you used to, it was all the big bright lights and the billboards, and it was a place you'd always seen on TV and movies, and you used to watch Carson Daly do TRL and, inside that studio right outside of Times Square. Like, it's a very special place, I think most Americans would say. But now it's like, you couldn't pay me to go to New York. You couldn't pay me to ride that subway. You couldn't pay me to walk down the street and pick up a hot and ready Venezuelan barbecue wrap. Like, I'm not going to do it. It's just, that place is an absolute hellhole at this point, and it's dangerous. When it comes to the guy that burned the lady alive in New York City, ICE, Immigrations, and Customs reaches out to New York City, and they say, all right, this guy's illegal. He obviously did something really bad by burning a lady alive. We'll take it from here. Give us this monster, give us this illegal invader, and we'll get him back to where he belongs and make sure he doesn't come back in this country. Anybody want to guess what New York City said in response to that? That's right. New York City said, we are not going to work with ICE to let them have this illegal.
So ICE has issued a new immigration detainer for Zepeda, but says the New York City Department of Corrections has indicated they will not honor the request. The indictment against Zepeda will be officially unsealed on January 7th, when we expect him to appear back in court. As for the woman killed, the district attorney says investigators are making progress using advanced fingerprinting and DNA evidence to confirm her identity. Anita.
Think about that. How bad did that have to be that to this day they still haven't been able to identify her because she was so badly burned? Ugh. And we could go through the video, the video's online, and how the lady was sitting there burning and people were just standing by, not doing anything, videoing. There was even a subway cop walking around, just not doing anything. He was on his walkie-talkie. He's like, hey, we got somebody on fire. Nobody attempted to put her out, and instead the illegal sat there on a bench and watched her burn, and then got up at one point and started fanning the flames with like a jacket.
Yeah.
These people are monsters.
I just can't believe she just stood there and burned to death just standing there.
It's got to be one of the worst ways to go. I mean, that is horrendous. And it shouldn't be happening in this country. It's only happening. We're always going to have crime in this country. We're always going to have evil people, but that's only happening because they open our borders. And now we've taken what crime we already have and we've multiplied it times 1,000. All because the globalists don't like borders and they want America to be brought to its knees. 205-545-9950. More of the line coming up. Hang tight.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io.
All right, here we go. The Line Talk 99.5. By the way, I'm trying to get y'all ready, and it's a big reason we did the show like we were doing today. is I'm getting y'all ready to be a part of our big New Year's party. And I understand we're up against the Crimson Tide and everything else, which, by the way, still 10-16 with 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. We want y'all to join us. So if you have not done so, I want you to go to YouTube, look up Over the Line, Andrew McClain. You can watch the rest of this show live. But also, if you subscribe and hit the notification bell, you will be informed when we go live tonight about 9 o'clock, and you can celebrate New Year's with myself, Tony Gump, John Bird, my lovely wife, Amy, and I think that's all of our crew for tonight, right?
Yeah, I think Bird's solo this time.
Yeah, so the two couples and then Bird, who will probably make out with himself at midnight. We should get him to do, like, when the clock strikes 12, get him to turn around and do the little thing where he rubs his arms. So
maybe he'll wear that one shirt which shows his shoulders again.
There's no telling what he's going to be wearing, by the way. He dressed up like a baby last year. You remember? The old diaper and everything. And I didn't get it. I didn't know what a New Year's baby was, but apparently that's a thing. So, very excited. Want y'all to be a part of that, so hook it up. 205-545-9950 will get you in. Ernest Financial bringing you this part of the show. Retire with Ernest. RetireWithErnest.com. I want y'all to hit my man up, David Ernest. Start the new year with a bang, with protection on your retirement. Now, I understand that we all feel a lot more confident and optimistic now that Trump's in office, but the reality is Democrats have set us up for failure when it comes to the monetary system, when it comes to the financials of this country. And it could turn into something that Donald Trump can't stop. And the stock market could plunge until we can get it back on its feet. We could actually deal with a recession while Donald Trump is president, even though he does a good job. And that's why I want you to reach out to David Ernest. If you'll call him, it doesn't cost you anything. You're just going to talk to him, tell him where your assets are, where you keep your money, 401k, 403bs, IRA rollover, tax-free, tax-deferred. Just hit him up, talk to him for a little bit, and ask him what you need to do. And he's going to find a program for you. He's going to find the loopholes that you need to not only make sure your money's safe, but to make sure your money grows. This is a no-brainer. So reach out to him and let him know that we sent you. 205-479-0839 is the number. 479-0839 online, retirewithernest.com. Retirewithernest.com. So, crime's been rampant. Illegals have been burning people, slashing their throats. And in particular, the subway slasher is in jail in New York, and ICE reaches out to New York and says, hey, we want this guy. He's illegal. He's not supposed to be in this country, and just like any other illegal, we need to get our hands on him so we can deport his arse. I was going to say ass in Spanish, but I don't know the word for that. Do you?
I know other cuss words. I just don't know that one.
We're going to deport your ass. And New York says, nah, we're not going to work with ICE. I actually saw, and I don't know if this was in New York or California, but there was a lady that went up to the podium. This could have been in Chicago for all I know. Went up to the podium to address the city council, who had claimed that they are going to be a sanctuary city and they're not going to work with ICE. I want you to listen to what this lady said because she hit the nail on the head.
I think 2025 is going to be pretty exciting because when you guys say F you to the federal government, they're going to say F you too, because you guys think that you don't like what we do, but you're going to have a sore awakening when the federal government comes after you for aiding and abetting, and they're going to be like, you get a jail cell, 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 you get a jail cell. Probably all of you guys too. So it's going to be actually really exciting. And I bet you guys are terrified, but you're going to continue to go down this same path of, with your UN agenda. It's going to be great to see it all unfold and unravel and be flushed down the toilet like the pure water you want us to drink. It's good. It's going to be fantastic because Tom Homan is going to come after you. And then my gavel broke.
It's pretty good. She says your UN agenda, You're going to go to jail. I like it, man. I like it. I don't know who that lady is or where she's from, but she's telling them, like, and that's the way a lot of people think in these big cities. They're like, man, just give them to ICE. Just take care of them. They're out here killing people. They're committing crimes. People, even top-level officials in Washington, D.C. are having their cars stolen, break-ins and everything else. It's crazy. Not to mention the other things that come with illegal immigration, such as trafficking, forced labor, what's happening to these kids. It's just, 300,000 kids missing. God knows where they're at or what they're going through. But then again, the safety of people just simply on the subway in New York. The guy, I wish I knew this guy's name. Let me see if I can find it. He's one of the head guys from the Guardian Angels. His name is Curtis Sliwa.
Yeah, didn't he run for mayor or something?
Yeah, he did. I think it was recently he tried to. But what a solid dude. So he's head honcho of the Guardian Angels in New York, and he got in front of some TV cameras the other day and said essentially, hey, since the police ain't going to do it, since the politicians are not going to allow the police to do it, I'm going to take me and my guys. We're going to be on the subway, and we're going to protect the people of New York.
Well, in day and night patrols, 3-person patrols, we're all together. We're walking through the cars, which is something the police no longer do. Notice there are no mental health workers. There are no crisis intervention. They have all these fancy names. I never see them. And we spend millions of dollars, I might add. Our job is, A, do a wellness check on a homeless person. If they're homeless or emotionally disturbed, see if they're okay. If all of a sudden we walk into a situation where there's an episode, which oftentimes happens, we have to calm it down. A lot of times, these homeless and emotionally disturbed persons, they know of the Guardian Angels. We can have a calming effect. We can also bring the situation to the attention of cops on the platform. If there are cops, you're going to probably see them on the platforms. Generally, that's why we always stick our heads out at the station, and we always check to the north, to the south. If there are any police officers, we would hold the door open, tell the conductor, we need the police presence here. Citizens won't do that because, unfortunately, the Daniel Penny effect has frozen them. They're not going to get involved. I've seen grown men who normally might have gotten involved. They're just not getting involved any longer. We train. This is what we do. We know how to do it. And we'll coordinate it once we get on the train with the conductor, who obviously has more freedom than the motorman, but we'll obviously make sure that that train is stopped and that the police respond and that we keep order in the car so that nobody gets hurt, including the emotionally disturbed person or the homeless person.
Good for him, man. Yep. Good for him. And in reality, that's what happens. I mean, in situations like this, what happens is average citizens have to stand up and say, you know what? If the government's not going to protect us, if they're not going to allow the police to protect us, we're going to have to protect each other. I mean, that's it. And that's where places like New York City is at. The good people of New York City are having to protect the citizens because the government no longer does it. And it's not just New York City. It's every single state. In Georgia, there was a well-known realtor that was killed by an illegal immigrant. This immigrant, this alien, this invader, has been released yet again into the U.S. by the Biden regime. An illegal alien in Chamblee, Georgia, was allegedly responsible for a high-speed crash that killed a local real estate agent last week. This guy, who's 20 years old, ran a red light, reaching speeds up to 100 miles per hour. His car T-boned the real estate agent, Jimmy Chang, 37, and killed him. The suspect, an illegal from Honduras, according to a source, in the summer of 2021, he was picked up by a Border Patrol in South Texas. After his arrest, the Border Patrol released him thanks to the Biden regime's unwillingness to deport illegal aliens. And we talked at length about that, about the vehicle fatalities by illegals. A lot of us have seen that firsthand, and it should not happen. They should never be in this country. Bottom of the hour, more of the line coming up right after this.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io.
All right, here we go. The Line Talk 99.5. One of the things that has been amazing to me, amazing to watch over the course of 2024 leading up to the election is the astounding amount of Hispanic support that Donald Trump has gotten. Hispanic support, black support. And I think, Tony, tell me if I'm wrong, but did we not call earlier in the year that Donald Trump would get over 20% of the black vote?
Oh, yeah.
Which he, in fact, did. And you could just see it. You could see it everywhere you looked. And that's, I would dare say, mainly what pushed him over the edge, certainly for the popular vote, but maybe even the electoral win itself was the minority vote, because people were sick and tired of what they've seen happen to their country. They were tired of being told, hey, you look like this, so you got to vote this way. And it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, take it for what it's worth, but I really think the turning point was the mugshot.
Yeah, that was a big one. It was the mugshot. It was the illegal immigration, the people that have been affected. You know, Hispanics in this country were really disproportionately, if you look at percentages, disproportionately affected by illegal immigration, especially those that were in here and came the right way. They obviously are eligible to vote, so they exercise that right. And it was not a surprise to any of us, but it was a surprise to a lot of Democrats, in particular Jasmine Crockett. And this is gold right here. So she was doing an interview with Vanity Fair, and she turns her disdain, her ire, to the Hispanic community that voted for Donald Trump, because she can't seem to wrap her mind around how this could possibly happen after how many times she's called them racist and told you, how many times has she told you Donald Trump hates brown people? She can't make sense of it. Here's what she said in the article. She said, I've not run into that in the Asian community. I've not run into that with the African community. I've not run into that with the Caribbean community. I've only run into it with Hispanics. When they think of illegals, they think of, maybe people that came out of the cartels and that kind of like the criminal type book or whatever. It's insane. It almost reminds me of what people would talk about when they would talk about kind of like slave mentality and the hate that some slaves would have for themselves. It's almost like a slave mentality that they have. It is wild to me when I hear how anti-immigrant they are as immigrants, many of them. I'm talking about people that literally just got here and can barely vote that are having this kind of attitude. So she's telling the Hispanic community that voted for Donald Trump that they have a slave mentality and they are like... Now, I'm trying to make sense of this. They're like slaves from back in the day that hated themselves. It's just...
It's all backwards, man.
Jasmine Crockett, though, I mean, she's in the business of saying a lot of kooky things. She was... I saw Tom Holman on... what was he on? He was on, I think it was Newsmax, or maybe it's America's Voice, or it was one of these channels. And... they asked him about Jasmine Crockett, and he wanted his response to one of the other crazy things she says about the border wall and the illegal immigrants and all that kind of stuff. I want you to listen to this.
Of Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett talking about your capabilities on MSNBC this weekend.
Again, we have someone who doesn't know what he's doing. And, this idea of, you're illegal and then you go out and have a child. It's not quite that simple, especially when you have people that are doing things like seeking asylum and people that are saying, listen, I'm just trying to make sure that I can live a better life. And you have, Trump that goes out there, him and his minions, and they say things like, you know what, we're only going to get rid of the bad ones, right? And so people sit there and they're like, wait a minute, you're going to come to my job where I'm working and I may be paying into taxes or whatever, or my kids are at school. I think that there's going to be a rude awakening really on all sides.
Doesn't know what he's doing. Tom, just to go through some of your background, a Border Patrol agent, an investigator, a special agent, supervisor, special agent, assistant director of investigations. I mean, the list goes on and on. You are so beyond qualified. What's your response to that?
Well, look, I forgot more about this issue than she'll ever know. I mean, for God's sakes, I've been doing it for 34 years. But look, there has been a rude awakening. A rude awakening was in November at the election. There was a rude awakening that American people are sick of an open border. American people are sick of illegal and crime in this country. I mean, how many young women had to be raped and murdered and burned alive? How many MS-13 and Trinidad Guaya have to be in our major cities committing crimes against U.S. citizens? How many angel moms and dads do we have to have in this country that lost their children at the hands of somebody that wasn't supposed to be here, and they're buried their children? You want to talk about family separation? And as far as family detention, all of a sudden the discussion goes from family detention to family separation. Family detention is the complete opposite of family separation. So look, I don't know who this lady is, but apparently she's not real smart. But she can say what she wants. Look, I made this clear. I don't care what they say about Tom Homan, because I've done this job for a long time. I think the president got a mandate in November. He called me and helped me fix the border. And look, under the Trump administration, we have the most secure border in my lifetime. We're going to get that secure border again, because secure border saves lives, and no one can argue that. Under the Biden administration, we got a historic number of aliens have died crossing this border, nearly 4,000. An historic number of Americans, over 250,000, died from fentanyl comes across that border. Their policies are killing Americans at record numbers. They're killing aliens at record numbers. President Trump is going to secure this border and save lives, just not of Americans, but of aliens too. A secure border saves lives. That's exactly what we're going to do starting day one.
Look at that. That's good stuff, man. Tom Homan said, I don't know who this lady is, but she's obviously not very smart. He says, I don't care what you say about Tom Homan. It doesn't bother me. I don't give 2 drops of monkey squeeze what you think about me, what you want to say about me. He's like, I've got one thing and one thing only that I'm in the business of doing, and that is re-securing the border. We're not securing the border. We're re-securing the border, because we've already done it once, and we're going to do it again. And there are a lot more people than they realize that are backing Tom Homan. You hear his name spoken at Chicago City Council meetings. Yeah. They say all the time, hey, Donald Trump, Tom Homan, they're coming in and they're going to take care of this, whether you like it or not. Whatever you think you're going to do, Brandon Johnson or whoever, to stop these guys, you're not going to do it. And really the only power that they have is telling ICE that they can't have the illegals that they currently have in custody, that they have in their jail, which, by the way, taxpayer-funded jail. And it sounds like taxpayers want these people out of the country, but they're not going to hand them over to ICE. They're going to, I don't know, run them through a court system, slap them on the wrist, and release them back into the wild, where then Tom Homan and his ICE agents have to confront these people in what is going to be a much more dangerous situation, because they're no longer in that controlled environment. They're out there. They can get their hands on guns. They can get their amigos and everything else together and, make it not just more dangerous for themselves or for the ICE agents, but the general public. Because if you got shootouts going on, you got stray bullets and everything else, and it's, it's a whole thing. So the border's got to get secured. Tom Homan, Donald Trump is going to do that. Joe Biden was selling off big chunks of the border wall, right? For pennies on the dollar, selling off the border wall before Trump gets in office, so Trump can't use that, and they've got to go through the process of getting more materials. He was on a different show talking about how there is a company, and I guess it was out of Texas, that had been buying a bunch of that border wall and is going to sell it back to the government, to the Trump administration, for what they paid for it. He said, we're buying it for pennies on the dollar, and we'll give it to you for the pennies on the dollar. And then y'all can get to work putting that border wall up.
That's true American right there.
I'm telling you, man, there's good people out there. There's good people that simply want this country to be safe, and that's it. Be safe and allow people to have the opportunity to pursue the American dream. It's simple. That's all people ask for. And as a matter of fact, there was a Texas court that ruled that they had to stop, the Biden administration had to stop that border wall auction, that they couldn't do it. And I don't remember, I didn't look too far into the details of that ruling, but they put it out there. They ruled the Biden administration has to cease the selling of the border wall. Now, how much have they sold so far? I don't know. But they can't anymore because of this Texas court blocking it. Donald Trump responded to it, and let me see what he says. He says, in a major crucial win for America and our national security, a federal judge in Texas, based on papers we just filed a few days ago, has prohibited the Biden administration from selling any materials designated for the border wall that has been wrecked by Biden and his cronies, and which I am going to rebuild in order to protect our country from violent migrant crime, fentanyl, smuggling, sex trafficking, terror attacks, and other heinous nation-ending disasters. The judge has also ordered an investigation into the illegal selling of the materials, which will expose just how corrupt and anti-American radical Democrats are. I am honored to be joined in this vital case by the great state of Texas and Missouri and applaud Judge Drew Tipton for doing the right thing for our country. We have to protect our borders and save America. He then ends with MAGA in all caps. Make America great again, baby. People are on board with this. I'm telling you. You just look at, so the inauguration coming up on January 20th. Look at the companies that have been donating millions of dollars to Trump's inauguration fund that would have never touched Donald Trump with a 10-foot pole 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 2 years ago, because of everything that's happened. They're all of a sudden ponying up tons of money. There's a third massive car manufacturer that has ponied up another $1 million. It's Toyota. Not even an American company. And they're like,
really?
Hey, here's $1 million for the inauguration. You already had, who was the other one? It was General Motors. And was Ford the other one? There was two.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla threw in $1 million this way.
I don't know. I think Elon's probably throwing in enough.
They're technically the most American company out of all of them now. Most of the parts come from America.
That's true. GM and Ford publicly announced their donations earlier this month, with the companies expressing optimism for the incoming Trump administration. And it's not just automakers, which one could argue are being spurred on by the looming threat of higher tariffs for outsourcing their supply lines that are ponying up for the inauguration. You look at big tech, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Sam Altman of OpenAI. They've all announced that they're going to donate $1 million each to the inauguration fund. And what's different is with Toyota, they're just sending $1 million. I think with GM and Ford, they were actually donating vehicles for the inauguration. What role that's going to play, I don't know. But they were donating $1 million worth of stuff. Toyota's like, here's $1 million straight up. So is Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and the others. They're like, here's $1 million. Please don't hurt us, Mr. President. Please don't throw us in jail. And it's a sign. You're seeing the shift from one radical far left America back to the center. I don't even think it's going to the right. I think it's going back to the center, and that is a good thing for everybody because it all lands us in a place where we can agree on something. If we can agree on something, we can work it from there. But they've had us, the Democrats, the globalists, whoever, have tried to keep us in a place where we disagree on everything, and there is no middle ground. I think those days are over. 205-545-9950. More of the line coming up. Hang tight.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io.
So my lovely wife just sent me a picture of my trash can, which is just apparently rolling through the neighborhood. I don't know what the trash people did today. There's my trash can. For those of you watching us on YouTube, where's it going? I'm like, am I going to have a trash can after this? Where's my trash can going? I know Tuesday's trash day. But did they toss it down the street, or is it rolling on its own?
That could be like a segment, like, where's my trash can going?
Where's my trash can? Everybody gets a guess, and we'll give away a free T-shirt or something. Anyway. I hope we keep it, because otherwise we're going to be back to sticking trash in the Santa Fe and taking it to the dump. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, maybe our trash people is good people. I have no idea. I've never met them. I am usually racing to get the trash can to the road, though. Do you have that situation, too? Because we have the same trash day.
Oh, yeah, I got that. I usually make it all on time. I'm pretty good about the trash. I'm like the trash man of the household, so I do all the garbage.
Do you do it the night before, or do you do it the day of?
Well, I do it the night before. That way I'm not rushing in the morning.
What about you, AJ? What's your trash routine?
Oh, what do you mean as far as, like, when do I put it out?
Yeah.
Well, today is like trash day for me. Like, so I put it out last night.
Okay, so you don't wait till the day off. I guess they come by early, huh?
It comes early, so I'm like, I don't want to be that one guy chasing a garbage guy down the street with my trash can.
Where my home studio is located, it's got a window that leads out to the road where the trash guy would come through, and I do the same thing. I try to put it out the night before, but every time I hear that trash can rolling up, my heart stops for a second, and I'm like, did I put the trash out? And then, at that point, if you hear the trash man, it's too late. You ain't going to get it out there.
Well, that's why you do it the night before, so you never have that feeling. You get used to your routine, so you're always ahead of the game.
Yeah, I'm a basket case, so I still deal with that. I'm just like, did I put the trash out? Anyway, 205-545-9950. And the Alabama-Michigan game, you have 7:21 left in the game. It is 19-10. Michigan is winning. I guess that means, AJ, you would need you're 6-2 on the board, right?
Yes.
So you need Alabama to you need them to get a touchdown and miss the extra point, and you need Michigan to kick a field goal. Is that right? Would that work out?
Yeah, but I mean, I was not going to win.
You don't think so? I mean, maybe
I wish I got a chance to pick my own numbers, but so
what's the prize? Like, what's the payout?
I have no idea.
They didn't even tell you what the payout was?
I haven't had time to go back there and socialize. I've been here working, and I'm doing stuff behind the scenes while I'm doing the show too. So if I win something, I win something. If not, hey, I'm blessed anyway.
Did they cater food?
Yeah, I think pizza.
Well, maybe they give you a free sandwich from the break room.
Yeah, they give you a credit on your little Cumulus Cafe account.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. Well, if you find out, let me know, because I'm actually curious. I have no idea what. I didn't know anything about it. I just saw in the email that there's games to be played. So
yeah. Your guess is as good as mine. So I haven't heard anyone like yeah or post any pictures yet. So
Yeah,
I don't
because
think
Alabama
anyone's-
hasn't had the lead the whole game. That's probably why. Do you think the Auburn? You think the Auburn people are in there cheering against Alabama?
There's somebody that's just digging it into one of those.
You'll have
Alabama
a
fans.
fight break out if they ain't careful. You have a fight break out, Cozy.
Oh man, that's like my family reunion.
Yeah. Hey, Mandu bringing you this part of the show, Mandu.com, Mandu.com. I had to take about a week off of Mandu just because everything was so busy, was out of town and everything else, but that's all right because guess what? Mandu is waiting on me to come back. I'll be back at Mandu on Friday, and I actually, y'all know about the Costco membership and everything else. I actually found a box of protein shakes, the little pre-made protein shakes. And we got one, and I'm going to start this new year right. I'm going to get an appropriate amount of protein. I'm going to be doing my workout. I'm getting my cardio in, and it's already a new me, but it's going to be a newer me in 2025. You can do the same thing, man. Go to Mandu.com, MANDUU.com. Click that button that says claim your free session. When you do, pick a day, pick a time. Go up there, try it out yourself. No strings attached. Don't have to worry about being obligated to do anything. You're just trying it out. You're going to get your first session for free. If you decide you want to do it because it's the real deal, and I bet you will, you can sign up there on the spot, decide if you want to do once, twice, 3 times a week, however you want to do it. But it's super convenient. 15 minutes, you're in and out of there. It fits right in your schedule. You can do it on your way home from work or on the way to work in the morning, whatever. Mandu's where it's at. Y'all know that. Y'all know I believe in this place. 205-438-6003 is the number. 438-6003 online. Mandu.com. MANDUU.com. And I would be amiss if I didn't mention my buddy Dylan over at Coverall RV Services. For those of you that are getting ready for the spring, getting ready for some road trips, you need to make sure your RV is up and running appropriately. Make sure that bad boy is inspected and ready to go, because the last thing you want to happen is to get your family out there halfway across the country and break down. You don't want that to happen. Dylan's your guy at Coverall RV. Also, if you got one that ain't running, that you'd like to get it back up and running so you can take those trips, Dylan will get you hooked up. All you have to do is make a phone call. I've known Dylan for years. I know the work that he does, and I know he's going to take care of you. Just when you talk to him, tell him I sent you, and he'll come out there to you, and he'll get it hooked up. 205-224-2268. That's 205-224-2268. And Coverall RV Services on Facebook as well. Find them there. So here we go. Big party coming up tonight. Normally what we do when we do the podcast, we get final thoughts. But you would be the only one giving final thoughts. I guess I could give my own final thoughts.
You could. I'll just say 2024 was quite a year.
Yeah, it was.
Probably the most exciting ever. And I have a feeling 2025 is going to be very interesting. And I just hope it goes the way we want it to go. I'm worried about the whole financial thing, because I look into that quite deep. So I would get a hold of David Ernest if you got a big retirement in 401k. But I'm worried about that aspect. But as far as everything else, I'm actually a little optimistic.
It's almost as if we've got some breathing room. We feel like we're not doomed. We don't feel like we're just going to have to suffer for X number of years, for 4 years. We've actually got somebody up there that's going to stick up for us and is going to do what's right. So even if nothing's going to go perfectly, this administration and this term is not going to go perfectly. Everything's not going to go in the right direction, but at least you've got somebody up there that's confident, that believes in America, that believes in doing what's right for America and the American people, and that is really doing the will of the people, which we don't ever get anymore. We don't get from our politicians, hey, what do you need? I'll go up to Washington, D.C. and do it. They don't do that anymore.
No, they
Donald
don't.
Trump does, though. Common sense, man. Common sense is going to reign supreme in 2025. All right, tonight, live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Rumble. Y'all be on the lookout. New Year's Eve party with Over the Line, Andrew McClain, Tony Gump, and John Bird. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that notification bell and make sure everything is hooked on up. We will see you then starting at 9 p.m. You'll have a good rest of your day. Happy New Year. And until next time, see you guys.